There is no excellence where there is equality. For every diversity higher, there is a diversity fire. It is not the similarities that make us the same. It is the differences that make us different. The truth is hate to those who hate the truth. Atonement cannot be made for a grievance never committed. Hollywood isn't history. In a world of collectivism, individualism is suicide. There is no Western civilization without Western kind.
And we are going free as all get out today, as we say down south. It's great to see you all. I hope everybody can hear me okay. Last minute preparations I thought I would let you all see as I rushed around here in the office / studio, getting things ready for the show today, which of course is going to be magnificent. Let me see. Can everybody hear me okay? The great Nathan is here, and he says, greetings, sir. Big greetings to you. One of our finest champions right now, rising from the surface of this decrepit and despicable, disgusting state of affairs all the way up to the night sky to join other heroes of the West in the starshine, in the stelliferous night. Fornull is here. Malone LeVay is here. William Runner is here. Gary, the great Slots, another magnificent hero doing well. Thank you all for getting back to me on whether or not you could hear me okay. I Got Worked is here. Art Acrobats, Red Clogs, Southern Daily News. We have, was that Raymond as I saw as I was moving? Misty is here as well. The great Groundhog Fury, who did, of course, all of the animations for that song that you saw, to Luke Mason's magnificent music, an album dedicated to Prometheus Rising. Right Reaction is here. We've got a lot of things to talk about, a lot of news going on today. We are going to be revisiting the documents that we spoke about, and we are going to print up some documents that we have yet to print as I was rushing around. We are going to bring back, and let me move these over to one of the other monitors on this other machine. Revisiting the Biden plan, Biden-Sanders plan. We only got a little bit of the way into that. We also have the Global Compact for Migration, which Trump would not sign, but of course Biden and his potential VP and the rest of the Democrats would sign. And then we even have the document to visit today, and we'll probably take more than one review, of course, of it because of the amount of information. And this is the potential running mate for Joe Biden, is this Karen Bass. And she is as anti-white as the day is long, another saying from the South. And she's a co-sponsor of a bill called the Way Forward Act and Way Forward Bill and Way Forward Act. And that, my friends, is truly atrocious. And this is the reason why this coming November, we all need to vote for TRUMP, the AI cannot spell. So we will talk in front of it as we do when we talk in front of children. And we will also, same way, I guess, with animals, or we could also talk about T-Rump, but we need to vote for T-Rump for what he won't do rather than what he will do. And a lot of people are still grappling with understanding exactly what that means and how that fits into recapturing our destiny. And so we will talk about that as well. And we have a few new meme curatives that were requested over the past few days, over the past week, and by greats like Slots, and I think Brand Danger, and Althea, and Roy, and I don't know who else was there. But these exchanges that these folks have been having. So I want to make sure that, and I provided them with some MCs based on the kind of conversations that they were having. And I want to make sure that we get these new MCs to all of you, just in case you need them in the conversations that you're having, in service of what matters, and that is recapturing our destiny. Everything else can wait until another day. It is a hot one in the once great state of Virginia, a state that we're going to make great once again, because I and many other great Virginians have, or I plan to be, hope to be, one of these days, considered a great Virginian, at least by the people that are my descendants and my relatives, that I gave my time, my life, myself to the well-being of our people. And as a consequence, they will remember, because we will make an environment in which that is a morality, that is a thing worth cherishing, worth remembering, the service to the well-being of our people. But the once great state of Virginia today in the 90s Fahrenheit, and then when you add on the humidity, very nearly 100. And we did the joke a couple of weeks ago when we said, this is what a normal turtle dove looks like. And this is a melting turtle dove in Virginia today. So this is right outside the nation's capital. Normal turtle dove, melting turtle dove. normal turtle dove, melting turtle dove. And that is right outside the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., as we say, Mordor on the Potomac, a stone's throw from that big white house where a big orange man lives. And we need to remember to vote for T. Rump for what he won't do to us, which, of course, is the Biden plan. Biden, of course, and his VP will immediately implement this plan. So will the rest of the Democrats. It's now a matter of time. This is a race, ladies and gentlemen, a race to get from where we are now to get going free to as many people as we possibly can. The magical things that are happening behind the scenes continue to happen afoot behind the scenes. And the magical things that we are now seeing all around us are happening and growing. And many of you are the heroes that are taking place in this, in these efforts, doing colossal things, a colossal work. It's never been done. I will say now, and we have a comment, and I'll get to it in just 1 second. Let me first say, and then I'll get to this comment. Let me first say, you can comment over the course of this stream at No White Guilt. Tag me as No White Guilt on that channel. That'll be on the machine and the monitors over to my right, your left. Those will be the comments I will most likely see. And you can also comment over on Discipline with NWG. If you do, make sure you tag me as Discipline with NWG over there, or it will not turn orange for me. It will not light up. That'll be on the machine and the monitors to my left, your right. I already see Rob is over there. Sycamore, I think is what it says. And he says, hail NWG. A big hail in return to you. And thank you very much for tagging me as Discipline with NWG over there. Panzer Faust is here. Great to see you, dear brother. Ursa Major over on that channel as well. The entropy I just put up, and you can write in the entropy question widget, which is also the Tall Kevin widget, one of our other great heroes, and hopefully we'll talk to him at some point tonight because he was next on the call list to speak to at the end of last week's show when we suddenly discovered, as is always the case, it seems here, that we're not struggling to get to 8 hours. In fact, we have barely reached our stride, and then discovered, well, there's the cutoff point, because there is no end with the energy and enthusiasm and just the absolute strength and joy of service to white well-being. We exemplify that here. So I will tell you that nothing like this has been done before. You can, over the course of the stream, you can question, you can comment on both of those platforms. Perhaps I will have up D Live, and if you give something Lino points larger than, what is it, folks? It's not a lemon. It's a diamond or something of this nature that people can give. If you do that, then I will thank you for that. As far as your comments go, for some reason I'm not able to. Well, I guess you can comment along with the points. So if it's something that is a diamond or larger, I think somebody told me, in points, then I'll mention it. Otherwise, points that are 1 penny worth of purchase will just bog down the stream and will never make it through the questions and comments, which are magnificent over the course of this stream. Obviously, those who financially gift can do so on entropy, and that is at 15%. If you write a question or comment on entropy question widget, it will stay there until you delete it or I delete it, so you don't have to worry about it rolling off the screen. If you make a comment on one of those channels that are to my right and to my left, and you're worried that I won't see it before it rolls off the screen, then copy and paste it into a Word document and just keep trying. Don't just barrage the chat with the same question over and over every 30 seconds. Give me an opportunity, and I can scroll back a ways. And if it doesn't happen after a time, post it again, or just go over and put it on the question widget. So you can financially gift over on entropy as well at 15%, on Cash App at 6%, and those who financially gift will, of course, get priority, but everybody's questions and comments and financial gifts, even if they come at the very end of the show and I don't get an opportunity to see them in the show in which I'm speaking, then I revisit them in the next show. Everybody's questions and comments will be addressed, even if I have to change the verbiage because you're speaking in the antiquated verbiage, or you're speaking with the verbiage of the ne'er-do-well in the anti-white narrative. I will change it, and then we will also all together learn. We have a plenty of news stories to cover over the course of the night. I mentioned the biggest documents that I wanted to cover over the course of the night. Just look at how well we have done here over the past couple of weeks. Who did we have? We had last week, we had Tina, And then the week before, we had Sarah and Carissa. Tonight, we're going to have Lacey, Lynn, and she will be coming on at 6, from 6 to 7 Eastern Standard Time, p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then 9 to 10, 10:15, 10:30 range, or somewhere around there, we will have Raymond Foster, who's made so many magnificent pieces of music, using some of my orations here, and also going out on the town. Signs that he made were actually quite beautiful, signs that said no white guilt, and he was out in his country of Australia. Of course, we know that Australia is in the biosphere of every single Westman on planet Earth. I am far more of an Australian than any non-white person who has lived there generation after generation after generation. Why? Because I could recreate Australia. Those individuals could not. Doesn't take any value away from them whatsoever. Doesn't take any value away from their contributions to Australia whatsoever. What it does mean is that whatever their biospirit is, I can't recreate that. They can't recreate my biospirit. There's something very different about human populations. And this is at the root of it. We finally named it and identified it. I want to celebrate a few people. Let's get right off to a great start and celebrate a magnificent gentleman. And his name is Gene. He is a guy who has been a superb help to yours truly, a confidant, and has supplied me with a lot of information. He's a great gentleman, and a round of raucous emojis for that guy is well deserved. He has been in service to White Wellbeing for more decades than some of you have been alive. So he is a great guy, and we thank him for his service to White Wellbeing. I also want to thank a newer hero, and that is an individual who is assembling a game for White Wellbeing. Just, God, look at the things that are happening here. Things that truly, I mean, you can't even, like, I go back and I think about like that little garbage game that another group out there created, video game, if you want to call it that, many years ago. This stuff is light years apart. And this individual goes by the name of Western Kind Games. And let me see if I can find this. This is magnificent. Let's see. Is this it? I think this might be. If it's not, we'll go. Yes, this is it. Take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't that beautiful? Western Kind Games. Now, this is intended to, he calls it a debate simulator to practice the Go Free lexicon and dialectics. This is going to be fun, he writes. And of course, that is the Eindelen that you see. It's from Prometheus Rising. It's on the cover of Go Free. It's in all of the books. You'll find the Eindelen, and you can find meaning to the Eindelen by reading Prometheus Rising, which of course we're talking about quite a little bit. So let's keep the raucous emojis going for Western Kind Games, doing some magnificent work here. This is still a work in progress, and it will eventually be finished, or maybe it won't ever be like a completely finished state. Maybe he'll just continue to add and amend and make it, improve it, so that it is more appealing. And if you have participated in it, he has asked that those who have then tweet or gab your score so that others can find out about this game and begin to participate. And of course, spread the word about going free. Real fundamental change in the world, not just talking about the problems, talking about what's going on, talking about what ails us, but making a difference, not just in a country, not just in a region, not just in a province or a county or a parish, but on planet Earth, a global people with many countries taking up the exact same doctrine, exactly how this is supposed to take place, exactly as we had planned it from the very beginning, ladies and gentlemen. I could not be more excited, but things continue to get more exciting, and I will share more of that with you all. We also have, let's get those raucous emojis continuing, for a gentleman in the white positive sphere, another new gentleman going free by the name of James, who is putting these slogans. He's got a sign maker that's willing to put slogans in more than a handful of vehicles. Now, I don't know if these are just personal vehicles. I don't know if these are somehow related to some sort of business. He said originally no white guilt. May he use no white guilt? And I said, absolutely, you may use no. Please do use no white guilt on the slogan in the back windows of these trucks. And he asked for some more ideas. And I wanted to share these ideas that I gave him and share them with all of you and see if you all have any ideas as well, because these are things that we can use. In just a moment, I'm going to be talking about that. And remember, this is August, ladies and gentlemen. Brand, it's August 2nd. We are going to be wrapping up the standalone edition of Crucible, hopefully this beginning of September. And then, ladies and gentlemen, it is a sprint. It is a sprint to November. It is a sprint to voting for the person who will not do to you what Biden will do to you. And we have to make sure that we reach these MAGA people. There are millions of them out there reaching, I said, at least a very modest goal of getting the doctrine of going free in front of at least 100,000 MAGA type individuals. Get the doctrine in front of at least 100,000, and then so modest of a goal, 1 in 5 of them, 1 in 5 to become a follower or a subscriber to one or more of us, so that when you add all of our new subscribers together in that sprint from September to November, in that sprint, we come out to at least 20,000 more subscribers. We can do that. This is the time in your lives when this has to be done. Not it could be done, or it just should be done, or it'd be nice if it would be done, or we're going to spend all day just debating with somebody who wants to just naysay everything. We've got to have had decades of folks naysaying, oh, it can't be done, Jason. You're not going to be able to change the dialogue. You're not going to be able to change the lexicon. You're not going to be able to change the lexicon. Well, what do you have to say now? What do you have to say now that we have reached so many thousands of people and changed, absolutely revolutionized lives here? People getting off the path to suicide, people on hardcore illegal drugs, leaving those, people in communities, just as we had planned, people in white positive communities who had come together just to have this like motley collection of ideas, of white positive ideas from here and white positive ideas from there. And I said, they're out there. I've met them. I know them. I know they exist. And what we need is we need to help those individuals and therefore those communities to go free, so we can all have a single voice that we speak back against the powers, these anti-white powers in Mordor and around the world, so that they hear us at last, that we're not going to take it anymore. That is the only way that we're going to accomplish this. And we'll talk about the voting and why. I've said it before and I'll continue to say it. We're not going to take back our destiny with voting. We're not going to take it back with violence. And I have the meme curatives there that speak exactly to this, that explain exactly to everybody who has any sense whatsoever, even the midgetwits out there, to everybody who has any sense whatsoever, why we take the step right now to vote for the T-rump, so that we don't have done to us what will be done by the other guy, and why it makes perfect sense to do so. We are going to sweep aside all the naysayers. We are going to sweep aside everybody that says it can't be done. We are going to sweep aside everybody that says, well, this makes me feel a little different. It makes me feel a little, I can't use those words. We're going to sweep aside every single one of those people, and we're going to march right up that mountainside to that western sunrise and reclaim that destiny that is ours. So let's get this. I'm going to say these right now. Here's some other ideas for this great hero that is doing this. I don't know where he is on planet Earth, what country he's in. This is happening all over the world, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this one from Sweden. We showed this last week, and we want to thank the individual, and I think we celebrated him last week, and I don't know if I'm able to say his name, his first name, but I will say, let's give a round of applause to the guy who translated this for us. And so I knew that it was saying exactly what it was said. This is being distributed, promulgated in Sweden. We have new countries coming on, not new that I've never heard from before, but more coming on. Iceland, Greenland. When have you heard of white positive efforts in some of these places, ladies and gentlemen? Never. I have been here for decades. And if you have heard of these things, it's always been something that was totally alien for you in whatever country you were. But now they're beginning to speak in a single voice with the language of going free. And it doesn't matter what language that they're using, whether it's a Swedish or Norwegian or German, they're able to speak in a single tongue with the language of white well-being. So here are some other ideas for these stickers in the trucks. Stop America from dying. And then underneath of that, nowhiteguilt.org. Give these people someplace to go. Stop America from dying. And then under that, nowhiteguilt.org. Don't be anti-white. And then under that, nowhiteguilt.org. Don't be anti-white. And then under that, nowhiteguilt.org. Embrace white well-being. Embrace white well-being. Under that, nowhiteguilt.org. Go free. Go free. Under that again, nowhiteguilt.org. There's a handful more of ideas, brother. Big round of applause for that hero who's going to be everywhere these vehicles go. People are going to be seeing this. They're going to be seeing it on the highways, on the byways, on the toll roads, on the cul-de-sacs. Everywhere the individual goes, they're going to be seeing in the driveway. Individuals are going to be seeing on the parkway. Individuals are going to be seeing these signs in these vehicles, and they're going to be saying, what's that? What do you mean, don't be anti-white? Boy, that sounds exactly like what people need to hear. And we have some community comments that we're going to be talking about where people used it and they had results for the first time in their lives. Here are some more. Anti-whites, not welcome. Anti-whites, not welcome. How's that for some of these signs out there where they say they use this heresy has no home here? You know the word they put in there. It's one of their anti-white slurs. Well, you can stick a sign out right in front of your house that says anti-whites not welcome. That'll send a message. They'll know exactly who you're talking to because they know what's motivating them when they put that sign in their front yard. They know exactly what motivates them, and they know that they're not fooling you. If you put up a sign that says anti-whites not welcome, they know that you're talking to them. Stop anti-white crime. Stop anti-white crime. How's that for another slogan? How about this one? Anti-whites need not apply. Anti-whites need not apply. Here's a project that we need to work on right now. I am getting ready to pull out my personal savings because we're going to make this happen. We are going to, in this sprint to November, we are going to make it happen in a very big way. Behind the scenes and out in front of the scenes, on the stage for all to see. And this is what I'm asking. Right now, I want those who are talented. This is a project. This is going to be the T-shirt project right now that we're going to get on, ladies and gentlemen. Those who are talented artists, I want you all to step up here. And you and I will get together. Each of you artists, you will contact me. You will contact me as a DM on Twitter. You will reach out to one of the people that you think is close to me. If you can't get directly to me, I haven't responded to you, you will tell them that perhaps I haven't seen your message because perhaps I haven't. I'm receiving like 50, 75 messages across the platforms a day around planet Earth. Some of them are, sometimes you got to parse through, the people want to, they want to send mass messages. And so I get stuck on, okay, what is this? Is this a mass message? And that sort of thing. But I'm catching up on all of the messages. I'm reaching back out to everybody, even messages that have been sitting around for a month or more, and you thought, well, maybe I wasn't important and Jason just couldn't get back to me. And then you suddenly get that message, oh my God, Jason got back months later. Yeah, every single one of you is important to me. T-shirt, anybody that can make designs. This could go on T-shirts, it could go on signs, it could go on flags. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to then put these things up on the collectibles store so that hopefully there is a whirlwind of recovery for the expenditures so that we can get this message out to as many people as possible and then have capital to make even more happen, ladies and gentlemen. T-shirt designers, I'm looking for designs, and there's a couple things in it for you, the T-shirt designers. The first thing is, of course, what we're doing here, which is the volunteering for something heroic, noble, and something that gives your life meaning. But that's not all there is to it. The second thing for you in doing this for White Wellbeing is that I want you to put your initials or your name or your screen name, whatever you use, in the bottom corner or something like this of your design. And if it's something that I can use, something that I like, the design, it's going to go up. It's going to have your initials. It's going to have your name on there or whatever you want in the design. One of these slogans or a similar slogan, reach out to me. You can also reach out to me by way of nowhiteguiltcollectibles.com. Nowhiteguiltcollectibles.com. There's a way to reach out to me on there. And thereby you will have at minimum bragging rights. Your design on that shirt, or ended up on that billboard, or ended up wherever No White Guilt ended up putting it, you will have bragging rights that it was your design, your name, your initials will be on that. Finally, in it for you will be, depending upon whatever you're looking for, depending upon the complexity of the design, how much time you put into it, whatever it might be, you and I will come to some sort of financial gift emolument. I will financially gift you, and we will come together. If you have something very simple, you know what I would like? We have so many wonderful people who are here, but one of the most wonderful was Nathan, and he wrote on a shirt, "No White Guilt." Let's get a Nathan Lentini edition, "No White Guilt," where it's just as big as the shirt. Let's have an artist do that, and let's have it say maybe on the bottom, on one side, you know, we'll see what Nathan says, maybe Nathan and L or whatever it is, or the full name or full last name. And then on the right-hand side of the bottom of it could be the artist's initials or name. You can also, by the way, bragging rights, and we're talking about payment. So something like that, for example, would be something, if you're an artist, you wouldn't ask a whole lot in return of a financial gift for that, because that's not going to take you a hell of a lot of time. Unless you want to do a whole bunch of other stuff. But that's not what Nathan did with his own hand. Let's try to make a Nathan Lentini edition, what he made, what this hero made with what he had, and he got out there on the road. This is what, look at this man's hand here. This is what makes the West great. We as a people uncover the truths of the universe. We create, we invent. And then by God, we get our hands dirty and bloody and we make it happen. This is how our hands should look, ladies and gentlemen. And it might be that the dirt on your hands are the calluses, or it's from the calluses, not from working on machinery or with wood or metal or whatever it might be, but it might be the calluses from being a draftsman that you build up on your hands. It might be the ink spilled all over your hands. It might be the carpal tunnel syndrome in your wrist from working on the computer all day long, whatever it is. As Westmen, we make it happen. And that's what Nathan did. That's what this individual was exemplifying when he picked up this book and he said, I'm putting my literal fingerprints on the book, Go Free, right this moment as I take this photo. This is what we do. So not only do you have the opportunity here, ladies and gentlemen, if you are an artist, or reach out to the artists that you know that might be interested in this. You all have to do, don't come to me and say, don't put more work on my plate, for example. If you're an artist and you hear one of these slogans, it's best just to say, I'm going to take one of those slogans that he mentioned during the stream, and I'm going to put it to a cool design, something that fits with White Wellbeing. I'm not going to try to hide in this complex design some kind of old symbol that is going to offend people, that will bring down condemnation and the rest on No White Guilt and etc. Just be honest, be legit. Let's get together. Let's make it happen ASAP. I will get these things up on the store. I will stay awake. I was talking with somebody the other night. I will stay awake like I've been doing over the past couple months. I will have more of these 3 days straight with no sleep. More of the 3 days straight with no sleep to make sure that the book happens, that the images happen, that the t-shirts get out there. This is what I want. Another thing, Althea has made a video. It's up, and we need to celebrate this young lady for the work that she's doing in her family, her children, her husband. We need to celebrate these people for the work that they are doing for White Wellbeing. She made a video. It's up on, and if somebody could share that, I think it's up on her BitChute or something like this. And if somebody could share that, it'd be magnificent. I think it's called Go Free or Die. Magnificent title. Let's take that. Let's get an artist out there who will make essentially the Gadsden design that I can then, if I want to put it onto a yellow banner, I can do that. And we could have a Gadsden version of this. And let's recreate the snake. Let's have it not look the exact same, but make it look something that is cool, that will appeal, and have it say Go Free or Die on it. Let's get these flags up on the backs of jacked up trucks. I want to see rednecks. And of course, down south, that means a positive thing. That means you pay your bills, you pay your taxes, you obey the law, you go to work, you work from sun up till sundown. Let's get folks with these jacked up vehicles, rednecks of the US, of Australia, of every country around planet Earth, Russia, and let's have flags like that flying from the backs of those trucks. I want to feel this worldwide. I want those most powerful anti-white families, some of them begin with the letter R in their last name. I want some of them to look out from their highest towers and say, what in the shit is happening out there with people that have no money? How in the hell are they doing that with no money? We are doing it with our wills and our iron wills alone. That is how we are doing it. And our voices will reach those highest towers you live in. So let's start making this happen, ladies and gentlemen. I want to hear from the person who reached out to me, wants to purchase a number of the Going Free on Kindle. I was looking for your response or my last response. I can't find it. I've got too many messages. Write me back. We will make it happen. Put in the subject line or put in the first sentence, if it's a DM or whatever it is, that it is for the Kindle version of Go Free, so that I can immediately identify you as I'm looking through all of the messages, and we can get back on top of that. We'll make it happen ASAP. Big round of applause for that hero who wants to get a Go Free Kindle edition out to a great many people. Let's get a big round of applause for the wonderful Brant Danger. He has some needs right now. He's working on School of the West. They're going to be incorporating the video, I think, that Althea just made, Go Free or Die. He has some requests. He's looking for people who are interested, and contact him at schoolofthewest@protonmail.com. You can find it at schoolofthewest.world. He's looking for people interested in Solutrean hypothesis, Viking voyages, early Dutch and English settlements, French and Indian War, indentured servitude, Revolutionary War, War for Southern Independence, westward expansion, Canadian history, Australian history, New Zealand history, Rhodesian history, South African history, biographies of any interesting members of Western kind, the history of any inventions produced by Western kind, ethnic customs or traditions of any European religions. If you have interest in this, you want to research these things, you want to help them out in School of the West, folks, they're going to need the help. People are going to be, first of all, the anti-whites are going to use the opportunity to keep everybody home from school so that they can make everybody miserable, and they hope they won't, as a consequence, vote for Trump. And as a consequence, they're going to be home. Parents are going to need homeschooling material. When finally the anti-whites say, oh, bring them back to school so we can get back to the hardcore infecting of their minds and their spirits and their souls with anti-whiteism, parents are going to say, I don't want them in that garbage. I don't want to have to go through the books again and tear out all of the pages like this mother did. As soon as the COVID-19 started and they said, send them home, send them home. And the parents had to take a look for the first time at the books that their children were learning, and they thought they were teaching. The parents thought that they were on top of their children going free and inoculating them, and that schools were not teaching them anti-whiteism. One textbook is on the floor. Those are the pages from one textbook. The parents are not going to want to teach their children, not going to want to have their children taught this garbage. They're going to be homeschooling. They're going to be getting their mathematics from one source, their science from another, their English from another, whatever languages around the world that you are studying in whatever country you are in, and they're going to need supplementary material. They're going to need it, ladies and gentlemen, from School of the West. And let's make sure also people who are interested in gardening, cooking, food preparation, nutrition and exercise, arts and crafts, woodworking, simple building projects, bicycle maintenance, automobile maintenance, learning musical instruments, science experiments that can be performed at home with household items. If you are into any of that stuff, reach out to Brant Danger, the man who has taken it upon himself to head up these efforts for our children and our future and the recapture of our destiny. He's making it happen. schoolofthewest.world. And you can specifically reach out to him at schoolofthewest@protonmail.com. Don't hesitate. Jump in. Be a participant. We're going to need you to be doing your part if that family up in those towers is going to hear everything that we have to say. I want to thank also Nordic Frontier and the Andreas and his entire team. They have been on their shows, on their podcasts, doing great work for White Wellbeing, using the lexicon, using the dialectics with their communities and changing everything up there. Big communities, changing everything, speaking sound, reason, logic, and evidence for our brothers and sisters all across the Nordic countries. And by God, thank the good Lord, thank Prometheus and the Spirit of the West, indeed, that they are doing it. Let me jump to these endorsements, and we're going to keep moving because we have, in just under 30 minutes, the great Lacey Lynn is going to be with us talking about Phyllis Schlafly, a hero who will have a statue built to her that will scrape the heavens. It'll make everything else that came before look Lilliputian by the time we're done building that statue. Sounding off against an anti-white monster. This great hero sounding off an anti-white monster. I won't be able to show the video. She was brave enough on her channel to show the video. By God bless her for doing so. The video, she'll tell you where to find it. In fact, the link is on YouTube, so you'll be able to find it here in the description. All and only YouTube links are found in the description on YouTube so that YouTube won't get angry with me. I will also mention that I am not in any way, shape, or form speaking for YouTube whatsoever. And I will also say that I have no firm opinions. I am for and against every single thing there is in the world. For and against every single thing in the world. And we're just talking about all of that here with all of you. So let me get on. We're going to get right to this first point that I thought was really worth mentioning. And then we're going to talk. We got so many news stories, and amongst them, we got the Brookings story from the Brookings Institute confirming with their research what I said at the beginning, and what many of you also said, because you're going free at the beginning of this pandemic, that we are not going to see this great baby boom. In fact, it was going to go the other direction. For what community? For our community. We have schools are still closed. We have the issue with the Kodak company, maybe we'll talk about. We mentioned the Way Forward Act. There are other things that I guess I have notes on, we can't even mention on YouTube to even say that these things might or might not be happening. We will talk also about human behaviors at some point over the course of the night, and not all human behaviors, because a human being can feel an urge a certain way or can act in a certain way or behave a certain way. Not all of those behaviors are what we would call ideal. And not all of those behaviors are what we would say are conducive to Western civilization. And therefore, some of those behaviors are behaviors that we don't want in our environments. More power to those people that want to act that way. They can do so somewhere else. We also have a news story that I really want to hit upon. This White Lives Matter, the hashtag flyers, very important. A great participant in the community gave me this story, and I want to touch upon it. And we have another story from Althea. Althea talking about, I think it's about hockey, and a little bit later at some point in the show today, something going on with the National Hockey League. Let's get right to Lucky Jackson. Lucky Jackson says, talking about what's happening to white people is fine. Where's the plan to do something about it? The plan, my friend, and this has happened a handful of times in the past, couple weeks now. But what are you going to do? Have you not been listening? We are going free. This is the plan. This is what's working in every single person's life. They say, one person said on one thread, do you have a plan, or are you just going to tell people to read your book? This is the plan, idiot. This is what has gotten 5 people confirmed off the ultimate path of white flight, suicide. 5 people off the path to suicide. It's gotten now, is it 5? Yes, 5. Also, we finally reached the same number of births as a consequence of the ideology. Not because people met each other at a white positive event, and then they said, well, we should get married, and then they end up having some children as a consequence. No, they're having children either for the first time or adding to the children they have because of the doctrine. All right. Not only that, we have a couple who is getting married because of the doctrine, not because they met at a white positive event, because of the doctrine. We have people that have not gone to jail because of the doctrine. And therefore, what would have happened to their families and their children if they had ended up going to jail? Because of the doctrine. Lives saved. We have people who have saved money because of the doctrine. We have people who have made money because of the doctrine. We have people who are freeing themselves and improving their lives hand over fist in all ways, mental, physical, spiritual, because of the doctrine. We have communities that are getting started because of going free. We have communities that exist that are now speaking with a single tongue across continents because of going free. We had an organic flyering, leafleting, promulgating of this ideology. 9 states 6 countries that happened organically because of the doctrine. What are we doing? Open your eyes. Get your heads out of your rears. We are doing something for the first time. We are doing things behind the scenes that those with the eyes to see. I predicted 2 weeks out, 1 week out, 4 days out. And then you see it. And there's more to come because of going free. First time ever in the white positive sphere. No more of this, what are you doing nonsense. No more of where's the plan nonsense. We have women who have gotten out of abusive relationships because of going free. We have men, and this is not secret conversations. These are people in the live chat talking about these things. We have men who have gotten out of abusive relationships because of going free. We had a man get out of a relationship that was a good relationship otherwise, but realized he was not going to be able to raise children going free with the woman he was with. Got out of that relationship. He's not going to be able to have a family that has meaning and value in this world. Children that will carry our message on and our well-being on into the future. We have people who weren't able to reach their families decade after decade with anything white positive, who immediately, in conversation in these live chats, were able to change all of their lives. We're able to bring them over to going free because of the doctrine. And we're working on iteration 2. New MCs we're going to be talking about tonight. That's what we're doing. So if you're looking for some sort of idiotic, violent response or voting or some other new apparatchik or manager-looking individual to run for office again, that's suddenly going to be your saving grace, you're too dumb to get it. That's my response to Lucky. Maybe you'll be a little bit more lucky with your next question and my response. Full Moon Ancestry. Let's get a big round of applause for Full Moon Ancestry, this magnificent hero who has come onto the scene. He writes here, "Hello, Jason. I just got your book in the mail. Thank you so much for sending it to me and signing it for me. I really appreciate it. Tolkien's Silmarillion used to be my favorite fantasy book, but Prometheus Rising has taken that spot for me. Many people read the Bible or the Edda every single day, but now our people have numerous books of yours to inspire them on a daily basis with 3 exclamation points." And then he quotes here, this is from an article he wrote, ladies and gentlemen, recently, and he's going to be doing a full review on Prometheus Rising. Quote, "If the antiquated prose is not your cup of tea," and he's talking about some of the classics. He's talking about Homer, okay? "If the antiquated prose is not your cup of tea, then support the authors in our community who are creating fantasy and other fiction works for our people. One recent example is Prometheus Rising by Jason Köhne, an inspiring epic that all Tolkien fans in our community will enjoy." And that is an article up on Countercurrents right now. Full Moon Ancestry, a magnificent hero, rising star for White Wellbeing, and a big salute to him for everything he is doing. Jarl or Jarl, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Big round of applause for Full Moon Ancestry, and everybody, let's follow him on his channel. If one of the mods could provide the link, that would be beautiful. Running fast here because we have Lacey coming up in 15 minutes. Jarl says, "Thanks for adding me. Read your book, Go Free. Was really excited about the insights it provided. Indeed, its significance for the future of our people cannot be questioned. Thank you for all the work you are doing. Many blessings. And hail the gods, hail the folk, hail to you, brother." A big hail to you in return, y'all. Thank you so much. We have a message here, email from Eric. Eric writes, "Hello, Jason. You may not remember me, but I reached out to you in early 2019. We volleyed a few emails back and forth. One of mine was a bit longer than it should have been. It rambled, actually. I think, and let me just stop right there. I read your messages. So all of these people who write these long messages about their lives, your messages, your experiences growing up, your fathers, your mothers, whatever, your siblings, your children, that is meaning for me. If it takes me, because of the length of your message, a month or two or whatever it is, to finally get back to you, that means that it's because I value you, not because I don't value you. I think I was trying to connect with you a little bit. You were kind enough to send me a signed copy of Born Guilty. I'd like you to know how much I appreciate that, and that I love your book. I especially like Crucible. All of it was excellent. However, there is a particular line in your book that says something to the effect of, quote, how can a person who is hostile to the survival of their own group be seen as anything but diseased, close quote. For some reason, that is burned into my head. How indeed. I've used that in conversations, as well as some of the dialectics you espouse in Go Free, which I recently purchased on Kindle. About a month ago, I had a conversation with an older person who looked like a deer in headlights when I was using some of the verbiage. It resonated with him, though. You could tell he didn't have the vocabulary for these thoughts that he was clearly feeling. It took him back a bit, but he thanked me. It clearly works. This, I can see, is the most important purchase I have ever made. My son and hopefully my daughters will be reading it. I don't think I could get my wife to, unfortunately. And then he writes, I want you to know how much I respect you, Jason. Thank you so much. Also, I watch your content all the time. I really enjoyed the Go Free with Daughter of Albion. The PWR with Enoch was excellent as well. I like to think I'm part of the advanced placement. Maybe not the top tier, but I'm in there. You are, brother. You are. I definitely need to contribute more. Thank you again, Jason, for doing God's work. And then he writes, love, Eric. And thank you so much, Eric, for that testimony that will inspire so many others. Let me take a quick look at the live chat and make sure it's working. Still working. Okay, very good. And now we have the Reverend George writes here, talking about one of the Go Free streams. Missed it live. Got some time to catch up. Best 8 hours of my week. I loved reading that. Thank you. Now we have something from Frank. NWG, you are a true inspiration, man. Real passionate words. I can feel your frustration when you speak. I also share this frustration. Why can't more people wake up? I ask myself. It makes me so angry. I try to stay positive because we cannot let negativity get in the way of our goals. I know we will rise again and build our communities once more. I have faith in our people when they are presented with a choice to make the right one, even if at times it seems as if there is no hope. Hearing your fiery words instills pride, focus, and determination within me to win, and we will win. Thank you for everything you do, sir. Frank from the UK. I wrote back to Frank, I treasure every one of these words. What a considerate message, and it says quite a bit about your good character. Thank you for being one of the heroes that I can stand beside in service to White Wellbeing. Thank you, my dear friend. Yuri writes here, thank God we have a level-headed person such as yourself to articulate the ideas needed for our people to survive the onslaught we face. This will absolutely take root and become the way forward. Thank you so much for that testimony and that witnessing, Yuri. Please go out to all these people who are still confused. They still don't know what to do. These kind of words, capture this video, capture this portion, share it with folks. These are real lives being changed. People don't say this kind of thing for the heck of it. They say this kind of thing when they see the changes in themselves, and then they see the changes around them. This is no mere donning of some form over top of something diseased underneath. This is the curative contagion. Rock Dad, one of our greatest. I love how you provide a translation for the anti-white narrative on the news headlines and the like, and you explain what it really means. I have started doing the same thing. Brilliant, Rock Dad. Everybody should do this. I believe this is a good tactic for getting people in the middle over to our side. People simply do not hear the news explained in any way except for the anti-white narrative. For example, referring to rioters as destroyers. This is very effective. It absolutely is. And thank you so much for that testimony, Rock Dad. From Cliff, we have, I'm 3/4 of the way through Born Guilty and am truly enjoying the stories. Crucible is such a familiar story to me that it is actually bringing back memories I had lost for ages. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not read Crucible, it will be a standalone. It will be the book that will remind you, as did with Cliff, thank you, Cliff, of all of these experiences that you have tried to forget from your childhood, all of the infection, all of the pain of anti-whiteism throughout the totality of your life. You will say, my God, that exact same thing happened to me, or something just like that happened to me. Exactly what Jason is talking about. That is why Crucible is going to be the bridge that is going to enable MAGA participants, the MAGA ordinary, normal sensibilities, white people in the hundreds of millions around planet Earth, to come over to what we are doing here in Going Free, to finally speak and think with a language that will save them from that sanguinary destiny that the anti-whites, who call themselves both Democrat, Republican, Labor, conservative, whatever it might be, have in store for them. RRSO writes, let me just say, I'm so happy to have discovered your channel. This is brand new. The racially conscious people, or however we should describe ourselves, listen to this. The racially conscious people, or however, these are people coming from outside of the white positive sphere, brothers and sisters. However we should describe ourselves, have been in dire need of positive, forward-thinking people such as yourself. No preaching of hate and violence or sad, defeatist rhetoric. Just love and positivity for your own people. God bless you, brother. Thank you for writing with that testimony. Absolutely. Let's make sure folks hear that testimony right there from RRSO. Tradecraft writes here, I was watching your stream today. Honestly, I was quite shocked at how many people were arguing with you about using anti-white rhetoric back at them. What you say about not taking on the anti-white language makes so much sense. I didn't really think of it until I discovered you, Jason, but it makes total sense. What worries me is the amount of people that are listening to you. That's why we're going to be working like the wind, not like the devil, like the angels. We're going to be working like the angels to make sure that the number of people that hear me and you and Yiz and Slots and Roy Danton and Althea and everybody else out there who's going free, that number of that people totals millions. Millions. We got a Greek name here, Ichthus, I think it's pronounced. You are the perfect leader for the white positive movement. You know we aren't perfect. We're quite broken people, but we can all have a job in this movement no matter who we are. You are awesome. You follow people back and interact with us. You have no ego, only love and respect for fellow whites. I wish others would leave their egos at the door so we could be supportive of each other. Some of these other white positive people don't even bother to follow back their fellow whites, and then they complain why we haven't been able to organize. It's not hard to figure out why we can't organize. A lot of whites are still so critical of other whites and snubbing each other. It's really sad. You don't do that, and we appreciate it very much. Thank you so much. People don't need more rejection by their own kind. We get enough rejection from the rest of the world. You are an awesome leader. Thank you so much for that, Ichthus. And it's not me that he's talking about it. For everybody who has the ears to hear what I just read, for everybody that has the ears to hear, what did you hear? It was the mindset in the behavior that he was giving the accolades to. We can all, and we better all have that mindset and that behavior, because that is the mindset and the behavior that is going to carry us to the top of the mountain. Now, remember, we're running just a little bit behind. Lacey, if you're hearing me, I'm going to send you the link very soon. So just hold tight. We're almost done with these. Listen to this, ladies and gentlemen, from the great lady herself, Fraulein Dresden, a daughter of a survivor of the firebombing of Dresden. To the women who may be new to white positivity, to the women who may be new to white positivity, and also to those who are seasoned, I want to warmly welcome you all to White Wellbeing. We are a movement of love and redemption. At NWG, we are building what comes naturally to Western kind, community. For now, we are an online neighborhood based on the commonalities of the European biospirit. Our bond is in going free. At the same time, helping our white brothers and sisters to go free of anti-whiteism. Only then can we recapture our destiny, the spirit of the West. Please join Jason, aka No White Guilt, every Sunday evening, starting at 5 p.m. for our multi-hour live streams. Feel free to reach out personally or join in on the live chat. We also take calls toward the end, in which you can have any question, concern, or suggestion addressed. Thank you for your consideration, sisters. I look forward to getting to know you. Sincerely, Fraulein Dresden. What a beautiful woman. Big round of applause for her writing that. These are people doing this of their own volition. For God's sakes, I would never have, there aren't enough seconds in a day or waking hours in 3 days for me to try to implore people to write things like this. These are people who are seeing these changes in their lives and are saying, I need to welcome the new sisters. This is a woman who is a descendant of a survivor of the firebombing of Dresden. We've got another one here from Michael, and then this is it. And let me just reach out with the invite to our dear sister Lacey Lynn right now, so that she can have this. And Lacey, if you're listening, you can step into the backstage by clicking on that link, and then I will bring you forward as soon as I am finished here with these final comments. And then we will be speaking with the lovely Lacey Lynn. Please, ladies and gentlemen, share the URL, share that information. We're going to be having a hell of a good time tonight, and it is only getting started. From Michael. Hey, Jason, I am moved to write this to you, and I'll try and be as brief as possible. I've followed you for a while, and while watching last night's stream, you spoke on something which I immediately knew was a key with which I could release myself from certain chains that I was holding myself in. Listen to that, ladies and gentlemen, because this is your life. This is all of our lives. I've followed you for a while and was watching last night's stream. You spoke on something that I immediately knew was a key with which I could release myself from certain chains that I was holding myself in. That's an acknowledgement of the mean pathogens. And you are holding yourself back with them. One thing that I sometimes notice with you is that you rarely seem to get really angry, or at least not outwardly, And I've wondered how you manage to so often stay as calm as you do in the face of the anti-white world we now live in. I get so angry sometimes and feel so frustrated. I feel like if given the chance, I'd love so much to do to them what they are doing to us. It's frustrating sometimes and yet pointless because I can't, obviously. I think it becomes almost like some kind of fantasy, and all it does is bind me up. And I'm not particularly proud to say it. Anyway, this morning you spoke of your encounter with a young lady to whom you said, quote, "You don't have a country." And what you went on to say was like a key for me to be able to start getting myself out of it. You said the following, quote, "I was able to tell her that now you'll be able to relieve yourself of the burdens of responsibility, of trying to make amends and balance the immorality of anti-whites in the regime and what they do from the regime of this country and around the world with her own personal morality." Honestly, Jason, you could have been saying those words directly to me, and I felt it. I even took note of the time. It felt that significant. It was 3:27 a.m. I'm in the UK. I know that it won't be easy. I know I'll have to work at it. But I know beyond a doubt that these were words which I now have to apply daily. I recently downloaded Go Free on my Kindle, and it's now time to get into it. I know even before I start that it'll give me the tools with which to apply that paradigm shift in thinking and to help release me to hopefully become a more useful advocate for my people, our people. Anyway, I just wanted to relate this to you and to say thank you. I hope that you find encouragement in knowing how your work for us resonates around the world, as it did with me this morning's early hours, some 4,000 miles away. All blessings to you, my brother, Michael. And I wrote back to Michael, "My dear brother, this is so wonderfully beautiful that I cannot thank you enough for sharing it with me. I could not be more delighted that my words emancipated and empowered you. And now your words, your testimony will do the same for others. I will share this during Going Free. We will celebrate you, and we will pass this gift along to others. Promethean hails, brother. Write me with questions or suggestions anytime." Let's get the raucous, wild emojis together going for this magnificent testimony that watered my eyes when I read it for the first time. And let's keep those raucous, wild, celebrating emojis going. And I mean literally, put them in the chat, applaud at home, shout out for joy because of the work that we're doing here, the testimonies that we just shared, ladies and gentlemen. We had a hero step forward. Don't know exactly if I'm able to share his name right now. He'll let me know if I'm allowed to share his name. And I will look over the course of this stream whether or not, but he does appear in the live stream, made available to me for the purpose of the work we're doing for Going Free, $2,000 to continue to reach out to people around the world with the great, deep, meaningful, life-changing work that we are doing here, creating a new people out of this deracinated race, led astray on purpose, led astray for malefactors who want nothing but impersonal enrichment and aggrandizement for how smart they are. Finally, we have something that those with something to give are stepping forward. $2,000 made available for the work that we are doing for White Wellbeing. And ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be more. That I can promise you. And let's keep these emojis going. Let's keep the celebration going. And we will bring forward now the great Lacey, Lynn, to talk about heroes like Phyllis Schlafly and taking down of the harridans and the monsters, the anti-whites of the past who call themselves feminists, who call themselves this wave and that wave and this of feminism, but we know them all to be anti-white. For Dan and the rest of them, nobody talks about it better. Nobody puts it more to rest. Nobody lights a metaphorical flame to all that the anti-whites do in that sphere to undermine our women than Lacey Lynn. And here she is, ladies and gentlemen, a heroine for all of us to know moving forward. How are you doing, dear lady?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome. Well,
this is magnificent. You look absolutely gorgeous. I hope your children are wonderful. I hope your husband is wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, I have wrapped my arms around both Lacey and her husband, and they're great people. A big group hug in the middle of a conference after she gave a magnificent speech. I love these people. And I love the work that she's doing. And if you are not a subscriber to Lacey, you can open another tab right now. Do it right now. Whether you are watching live or watching in replay, open it now and subscribe to her channel. This lady deserves the subscriber count that a number of other ladies who are either tangentially in the white positive sphere, they have massive counts of people. No, this is the lady that deserves that count. She has the brains, she has the beauty, and she is also at home, rearing children, making cakes, doing all of these things that women say, especially these anti-whites who call themselves feminists, say, oh, that's beneath a woman. Well, Lacey can think circles around them, and she can do the things they can't do in the kitchen. My dear, please tell them where they can find you. Where can they find your work? What kind of things you're working on? Who's Lacey Lynn? And then we'll talk about this great video that you did recently.
Okay, thank you. Well, we loved meeting you too. It was the highlight of being there at the conference. Other than Mr. James Edwards himself, who threw the conference, so I should say that. But well, you can find me at Lacey Lynn, LACEYLYNN. Just YouTube search that. And there's some noise in the background. Is that me?
Let me check. I will fix it. Okay, go ahead and keep talking.
Okay. I'm sorry. Didn't know if that was me or not. And well, I'm a mother of 2 boys, and I just run a YouTube channel speaking out mainly for pro-traditional gender roles for women and anti-feminism. My area of expertise, I guess, would be first and second wave. I don't do a lot of feminist direct, third wave kind of stuff. I delve deep into coverture law, what was actually in place before feminism, what happened to coverture law, what happened in the second wave, what were the anti-whites were saying in the 60s and 70s, what are their points, the fact that feminism is communism. That's my area of expertise. And off YouTube, I am your traditional homemaker, mother. I homeschool my 2 boys and do the homemaking. So that's basically me in a nutshell. Not a lot, but
no, that's a magnificent amount. That's truly great service to white well-being, and we could not be more grateful that you are doing what you were doing and really carrying on the tradition that Phyllis Schlafly started. I had the great fortune of meeting this magnificent woman, a true hero, absolute true hero for Western kind. And as I said, we will build a statue to Phyllis that will scrape the heavens. You can find out about a particular incident that I witnessed of this lady, more courage, more backbone, more tenacity than, unfortunately, so many of our men, I guess males today, because they never do become men. She was a real woman, and could be set up in the panoply of all of our greatest women from all time, and certainly light years above all of these women that LARP as men, and they think they're doing something wonderful by pretending to be a man, and they think they're, now mind you, and we always we have the sort of the caveats, and we give the the other side, I guess. There are going to be women who are not going to be able to make the greatest wives, especially infected with anti-whiteism. There are going to be guys who are not going to make the greatest husbands, infected with anti-whiteism. There are going to be women who either intellectually or psychically are not going to make good mothers, and it'd probably be best for them not to give birth. There are going to be women who are not capable of a birth for some sort of medical issue. And none of these people are bad because they don't fit the ideal family in a little bit more of a precise way in this fashion. They can do magnificent things for us in other ways. And in fact, we have women doing magnificent things in other ways. And yet, nonetheless, we have to have an ideal that we strive for, because if we don't, then we're going to end up going all the different directions. It's the herding of cats on fire, and civilization itself is lit on fire by the flaming cats, if I can just throw that in there. But we have in Lacey somebody who is following in this tradition. And if you are interested in a great hero of Phyllis Schlafly, and you want to follow somebody who's alive today, remember, I say it all the time. We hear that on PWR, folks who are, they bring up all of these names from the past. They want to laud all of these folks from the past. We have a living Phyllis Schlafly now. We would like for Lacey to have as much publicity, for her to be as widely known as Phyllis was. Of course, in Phyllis's day, she was working with a much healthier white population than Lacey has to work with today. And we want to help encourage, though, folks to go to Lacey to listen to the things that she has to share. And what I would like to do is, Lacey, is get you to talk about this most recent video you did. There's a clip at the beginning of this, ladies and gentlemen. As soon as we're done going free, you got to watch it. It is talk about a knockout. Talk about I rarely see a knockout like this. But so you'll watch that video. Lacey will talk about it right now, some thoughts on it. And then maybe we'll get into, Lacey, some thoughts about your thoughts on things that are going on in the world, things that are going on with families right now, things that are going on with mothers right now. How are they handling what's going on with their children? Things are going on with wives right now. I know that you have your finger on the pulse of all of these things. So please, let's start with that video, which is, oh, and let me finish really quickly. In Born Guilty, ladies and gentlemen, I talk about an off the record. I worked on the Hill, and I worked in the Nerve Center for the Conservative Movement on the Hill in Washington, D.C. The Hill, for those around the world, that's the power center for the United States. So I worked on the Hill in the Nerve Center for the Conservative Movement. Every Wednesday, we had an off the record luncheon. People from Congress came, White House staff came, the leaders of all of the biggest conservative movements in the United States came. They discussed policy, they discussed strategy, they discussed these things all off the record. And Phyllis whipped out a flaming sword, and that you won't be able to, we're not going to say what happened here. You got to get the book to find out exactly what happened in one of those off the record meetings. But now that the great Phyllis has moved on, she has passed on, I felt it was okay to share what she did, her heroism. In fact, we should really be lauding it. But look for what took place in Born Guilty. And Lacey, let's hear about this magnificent video.
Oh, I am so jealous you got to meet her. I joined the Eagle Forum in 2017, which is a year after she passed. So I missed it by this much. Had I known about the Eagle Forum just a little bit before that, but I actually heard about Phyllis through the news of her death. So all of the leftists, all of they were on Twitter saying the witch is dead and just awful, horrible things about her, that she's probably burning in hell, and they're glad she's dead. Just horrible, awful things that we would never say about anybody who passed on the other side of us. So I thought, they said it about Ann Coulter. I might need to look into this woman, because she's probably somebody that I like if they're saying all these things about her. So I did, and I watched every debate that I could, that I found on YouTube, every speech I could, every interview that I could, and then I moved on to her books, and I read everything she ever wrote, all of her words, went back into the Eagle Forums. The Eagle Forum is the organization she started in the early 70s in 1972 to organize traditionally minded women who were wives and mothers and housewives who were against this current wave of feminism to kind of strike force against this feminist bill called the Equal Rights Amendment. And they were successful, just a group of housewives all across the country. It was amazing. I mean, it's very, very kind of you to say that I'm the modern day Phyllis Schlafly, but I have a lot to learn. There's no way I could do something like that today. You know, I have a little bitty Facebook group on Facebook for traditional red-pilled mothers, and even that comes with its fair share of drama. But it's been so much fun getting to know this woman who I just wish that I could have met. But so I joined the Eagle Forum in 2017. I interviewed her daughter, Anne. We're friends now, so. But she's just she's a doll. I love her, and I've actually published an interview on YouTube with her 3 times now. So she was kind enough to not talk to me once, but talk to me 3 times on camera. So I have gotten to know Phyllis very well. So when Hollywood decided to launch this show and attack of her legacy, what better person to do it to review the show than me and set the record straight? And I felt, you know, this is my time, as they say in the Bible, you know, for such a time as this. So I thought, you know, this is my area. This is what I fangirl over. This is Phyllis Schlafly and June Cleaver. You know, people are always on my case about LARPing this and LARPing that, and you know what? I'm here for it. I'm here for the LARPing, because who can set the record straight with this show better than I can? Nobody has fangirled as hard over Phyllis as I have. So if that's my place in this movement, I'm okay with that. So I think also I don't mind being a placeholder for women who came before me, who set such great examples, and to throw back and say, this is what they've done. This is what they sacrificed. And we can learn from them, and we need to keep their legacy alive and keep talking about them and keep defending them, because it's not irrelevant. So they came out with this show called Mrs. America, and it's Kate Blanchett, Sarah Paulson, some other big namers that I don't even know because I don't watch their movies. but they launched the show earlier this year, and it was a mini-series, a 9-episode mini-series. And it is just slanderous attack, or yes, it's slanderous attack after attack. It's disgusting. They portray her marriage. They portray her sex life. They portray her husband having his way with her when she wasn't into it. They portray them fighting. They portray her as catty and mean to other women. They portray her feeling secretly oppressed and like she has something to prove, and she's only interested in the ERA to impress the men and politics. I mean, just every single attack. Even though she was 54 years old, they say, well, you're a hypocrite because you think women should be at home raising their children, but you're out here doing activism. So they took that angle. She was 54. She raised her children, and then she started doing activism. So the reviews that I do, and I'm on the last video that you talked about was the 3rd one in the sequence, and I'm trying to group some of them together, but this last one was Betty Friedan's episode. They centered each episode around a feminist. So Betty Friedan, this was the last episode, and the video that you're referring to, I reviewed that episode. That is the Betty-centered episode. So I have opinions on Betty Friedan, as you can imagine. And the clip that you were talking about in the beginning was Phyllis just really owning her in a debate, which she did often.
Yeah, that was really magnificent. And I just will say that I got to speak with Phyllis a couple times at this this luncheon, and she was like a swan amid the rocks, and a swan amid coal. It was just she was such a lovely, intelligent, and powerful figure, and you could tell that she knew that behind every rock was another anti-white viper. She knew what this was all about. She knew who was being attacked. She knew what was happening to our people and therefore our country. And she did indeed, as you pointed out, Lacey, she raised her family. She had gone to school, got out of school, raised her family, went back to school, then took up this fight against the anti-whites and did everything that she could with the time that she was given here on earth. And just a marvelous woman, really a swan amid the rocks. It was a great pleasure of mine to be able to share those few exchanges I did with that dear lady, and then talk about the pride and this shock and the when she did her thing in that private meeting, I tell you. But you'll see some of that fire in that video. You'll see it, and at the video Lacey had made, and she captures this from the show with Friedan, who is, of course, we hear about these people. They come to us, and this is typical of anti-whiteism. Oh, this genius, Friedan. She's so intelligent, so brilliant. We just need to look at the people who are writing of course, the anti-whites are going to laud their gremlins as genius and beautiful and heroes and etc., and disparage the people who are actually those who are doing good and the angels in the fight. And you'll be able to identify who the good guy is and who the bad guy is, and that instantly there'll be no confusion there. But that's why they want to get access to your children, and they want to get to the kids, white children, so that they can tell them to hate themselves, to hate their ancestors, to what they see on their face when they see a Phyllis Schlafly faced off against this anti-white Friedan. They can the children will immediately feel shame, and they won't believe their lying eyes. I mean, they'll say, "Oh my!" Even though it is obvious that this woman here is the one who is in the right, the one who is moral, the one who is good, the one who wants an outcome that will be good for me and my people. And instead of victimizing us, and at no time wanting to victimize any other group or take advantage of any other group, instead of noticing that, they will instead see a villain out to shame, harm, embarrass a non-white person who's just all they've ever done has been wrongly put upon. So as a consequence, heroes like Lacey Lynn here, they don't send their children into these public school or private school hellholes. They educate them at home, and they use materials from different communities. And so, Lacey, how has everything going on with the pandemic been affecting you and your family and the children, other mothers, and in these circles, the news of the anti-white destroyers in the streets, setting fires to the cars? Knowing we had Clarion Wakefield on, I don't know if you saw that episode where she got very passionate. We said, she made a great point now that I've been echoing, and that is that we've come to rely on the tyranny of the state because we have a multiracial state. And so you can't just have Mayberry anymore. Nobody's going to be able to just push the stroller down the street and we have like one police officer per million people, no worries. Which is not to say that white people don't commit crime, they do. But the odds that let's put it this way: if we just reverse the time scale, or we look at present time frame where we see the population is homogeneous for us, we see a crime rate that is very much lower than we see in multiracial environments, and we see also what we would call crime, I guess maybe in some other cultures, maybe not crime, they call it something else, who knows. But we see a very different crime rate. So as a consequence, we've come to rely on a tyranny so that we could push the stroller down the street. But now the tyranny is on a knee to the destroyers of Western civilization, and how that is terrifying, even to the point for our white women and the children, even to the point of saying that it is immoral of white women to dial 911. Or to tell their children that they should stay out of certain situations, stay away from certain things. So I'm sure you've been seeing this as well and experiencing it in your circles. And what do you have to say? Any thoughts at all on any of those subjects?
Well, I take it very personally. when this stuff started heightening again, when the flames were flamed, and people started having their hot takes on the internet and doing their virtue signaling and all of that, social media, your friends and family on Facebook, I saw a lot of virtue signaling within my own personal circle. And that was a surprise to me because I've been outspoken since 2016, like a lot of us. This happened about 2016 for most of us, I guess. But I assumed that most people knew you can't be in my life if you say things like that. You're talking about my children. My children, when I saw a meme on Facebook that was exactly what you were just talking about. Women not being able to call 911 because that's racist now. And there was also and within that meme, it was also saying that children shouldn't be taught their own history, that Eurocentric curriculum is white supremacy. So this is all personal for me. These are my babies. My babies are 2 white male children. And to say that they cannot learn about their own history, that they have nothing to be proud of, that I can't protect them as a mother, that somehow their existence is wrong, or that they have to apologize for it, those people are no longer in my life. It just took one virtue signaling meme on Facebook, and no, I'm not having that. That's absolutely it. It's not just, let's agree to disagree. It's not just, oh, well, everybody disagrees on politics a little bit here and there. No, you're talking about the existence of my children. That is very personal. I take that very seriously. So that was a surprise to me because I had assumed that most of the people who were in my life either wouldn't do that, because I had a lot of personal conflict when I started to speak out, and as you may know, that's kind of the sacrifice, right? There's no keeping this away from friends and family. There's always that next person that's going to find your YouTube channel. There's always that next person that's going to send you a link about your video saying, what do you mean at the 12-minute mark? What is this alt-right thing? So I've had a lot of interesting conversations over the years, but it wasn't as difficult this time around because of the years before, where I was doing a lot of chiseling away at the stone, and my circle is smaller, but that's a good thing. So we build community where we can, and not everybody in my life agrees with everybody else, right? And in the white positive sphere, we have Christians, we have pagans, we have other people who disagree on economics. I'm not really an economics person, but then we have our church friends, and then we have our family that we've been born and raised in, and then the neighborhood kids, and there's all these small little communities, and you have to plug in where you can. You can't make one big community that is this pie in the sky. Hopefully we'll get there one day, where we can find what we need in each group. But right now we need to cling on to each other in these little pockets of communities where we can. So that's what we've been focusing on as a family recently, is we've really been building up our community. And we do have some local pro-white friends who have families. So that's really helpful. And the boys are having a birthday party soon, and they'll be over with my family, with my blood family, my pro-white family, and my Christian family. So that's all good. And we're focusing a lot on community. And I think that's where the traditional family setup, and I know a lot of people will purity spiral. Oh, the nuclear family isn't the most traditional family, and the 50s were bad. And okay, so when you have a nuclear family and you focus on the nuclear family's position in the community will help you survive through hard times like we're going through right now. So the woman being at home, yes, I know before the Industrial Revolution, most women worked and da-da-da-da-da. Like, I'm not saying you have to go out and be a 50s housewife. That's me. But you don't have to do that. I'm saying right now, what we're seeing is the women who stayed at home are weathering this a lot better than the ones who work. And the men who are the breadwinners are weathering this a lot more than those who are working in some sort of egalitarian relationship. And I know a lot of people want that to go off to the mountains by themselves and just kind of weather it out. But we're seeing that suburbia actually kind of has some benefits right now. We're close to people and we're close to our community. So there is something to be said about that white suburban family who goes to church every Sunday. They have community right now, and they're weathering this a lot better than the ones who are sitting there wagging their finger on the internet saying, oh, I'm just going to go isolate and I'm going to talk about how the 50s were the worst time in history for traditionally minded people. Okay, we know your arguments. We're not stupid. I made an entire video about it. It's called the 50s question. Go watch that because I'm tired of having those comments. But you can straw man the 50s all day long. It doesn't change the fact that the women who are staying at home playing the 50s housewife are weathering this a lot better. I guess I just had to get that off my chest.
Well, I'm glad you did, and you should speak to these frivolous objections. And we need to remember at all times that there are, first of all, there are people who are dysfunctional because of their state. There are people who are made dysfunctional. There are people as a consequence that are, as we were talking about earlier, naysaying and undermining the work that we're doing for white well-being. This sort of peevishness that we see, this overly delicate state where they say, well, she has this Lacey Lynn likes the 50s, likes the aesthetics of it, and therefore I just cannot work with this. Those people are the ones that are not going to be part of the recapturing of our destiny, because it's going to be folks who are able to work together, even though we have different aesthetics, even though we like different time periods, even though we like different approaches. You mentioned there the economics, the political systems, and all of this. We were just talking about that, of course, on tap with Horace and the approach to that. He has got the great approach of realizing that these things are discussions about something that is going to happen in the future, but first we have to recapture our destiny. So that's kind of an important thing to get attuned to and to get to work on first. And so, yeah, when people bring these sort of frivolous attacks forward, we need to realize them and see them for what they are, identify them for what they are, and then offer to help these people. Say, look, we're going to have a lot of different views. There are going to be people who are like hunting more, and people who like loving animals more. They don't want to see anything killed. There are going to be people who want a certain type of economy, people who want the exact opposite of that. None of that matters right now. We're going to be able to equitably resolve all of our differences. And not only that, but there isn't going to be a one resolution. I don't know why people keep coming. It's like, Lacey, it's like these people, they think, well, if I support Lacey, then at some point in the future, we're all going to have to wear pearls. And no, what are you even talking about?
Wait. That is I want to put that into policy.
that's fine then, you see. So you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. That is part of the so if you're going to live, this is the point I was going to make. There will be a lot of different places across the West where we will have because this is how Western kind actually thinks when we're left on our own, a live and let live scenario. So one area you might be permitted to do one thing, another area something else. This reductionist thinking that says, well, if there is an idea associated with a drive to reclaim a destiny for our people. And I don't like something about that idea. There's something, and of course, we're all going to, you will even, everyone out there listening, you will be able to disagree with yourself vehemently from maybe last week. Some of you maybe have been a little bit more consistent. Maybe it was a month ago. Some of you even more consistent. Maybe it's a couple years ago. And you're going to look back and you're going to say, wow, I was really wrong then. So if you can disagree with you, then certainly you're going to find disagreements with other people out there. So you have to resolve and reconcile yourself to the reality that we're going to have differences and we have to recapture our destiny. That's what happens first. And it presupposes that we're going to be tolerant of each other's differences. There should be absolutely no objection based on these sorts of things that are otherwise not getting in the way of going free and recapturing the destiny. Of course, there's a big difference between something who is or some idea or behavior that undermines going free and somebody who wants to legislate that women must wear pearls. I mean, that's two totally different. That is two totally different things. I think pearls are lovely, but that's for everyone to decide. Now, I do have one piece of news that I think is really relevant to discuss with you, dear lady, and that is the Bible burning. But before we get to the Bible burning news, I want to specifically refocus you on how did your little ones hear of and digest the news that you have anti-white destroyers in 60 plus cities setting things on fire. Maybe we can't go to, grandma thus and such house because that'll take us right beside a city where maybe they'll be blocking the highways and then shooting people. Or, of course, these things may or may not happen. It's whatever MSNBC and CNN says is the case. If people are out on the roads, then I'm sure they're just passing out daisies. That is probably what's actually happening. But we have video footage that I'm sure has been faked by underground malevolent people where anti-whites are destroying cars, beating people, pulling them out of their cars, and shooting at vehicles. And we have the story of the guy who got shot in the head, who tried to just drive away, wouldn't allow his head to be caved in with a blackjack, so they shot him in the head. How did your little ones, because this is a really difficult thing, and I've had a lot of mothers reach out to me, fathers, mothers, say, what should I say to my children? I mean, they're terrified. They see all of this stuff going on. How did you handle it with your children?
Well, I haven't yet, and thankfully we don't live in the city. We do live in the suburbs, and it's a little bit of a smaller, it's a little out of the way. We are part of the white flight statistics now, so we moved to where it would be more comfortable. But I mean, not isolation. We just moved to a wider area, so they haven't been aware of this, and they're still young, so they are both under 10 right now, and we haven't had to have the conversation with them about why there are non-whites marching in the streets, who Antifa is. I mean, who Black Lives Matter is. We haven't had those conversations. There was a Black Lives Matter protest one day, and they did this on a Sunday. On a Sunday when we're driving to church. This has to be on purpose. So we were driving to church and we did see a Black Lives Matter protest, but they weren't aware of what those people were doing there. They didn't really ask any specific questions that we had to answer. We're trying to, as parents, talk about some of these concepts and kind of prep them for learning about it later. So they don't go to public school, and we've talked about that, and they know that. I mean, at first they kind of understood it as public school is bad. Well, why is it bad? My friends go there. Why is it bad? So I explained to them that what I went through when I was in high school and how they were trying to tell me that some of the things that mama and daddy believe are wrong. So they will tell you lies. And they said, so they lie to you at school? And I said, yes, they do. Unfortunately, they do lie to you. And it's hard because as a mother, you want to get along with other mothers. So if my child goes to his friend who's two doors down the street and says, you're getting lied to at school and your teachers are telling you lies, that kid can go to their mother, and then all of a sudden I have to answer for something to another mother. And that's a little bit nerve-wracking, but I have to do it anyway because my children deserve to know the truth. So when we are schooling at home and we're going through the history curriculum, I have to be very diligent and very intentional on these lessons. What do I want for them to learn now? And what they need to know is that the people who came before them, who fought for what they have, and we have our disagreements, right, in the sphere, and most of us understand that not everything our founding fathers did were correct. We're here now because we were there before, but these are grander concepts that they can't understand before the age of 10. So what they need to know now are they came from people who built a civilization, and this art and this music and this history and this food and this, they built log houses and they had, yes, even had plantations. Okay, those are hard to run. Have you ever tried to run a plantation? I have not. So they need to understand that they come from people they can be proud of, and these people accomplished things and built things, and that's where we are in our parenting right now. There are some slavery concepts and World War concepts that the curriculum tries to put in there. I have not chosen to go over those with the children yet. I will go over them as they are age appropriate and able to understand that the mainstream narrative and then the more I guess you would say correct narrative, and I will talk to them about the lies that are being sold in curriculum. Sorry, back to your question. They are not aware of the protest. They are aware of the coronavirus or protest, right? Riots. They are aware of the coronavirus. And we have conversations about that all the time. They express some sadness about it. They are just trying to understand. Like I said, they have a birthday party coming up, and that's a lot of fun for them. So it's just going to be a smaller party, and we all know why, and we've talked about it. But they do understand on a more general term that white males are being discriminated against, and that is why they're not going to public school. Right now, it's still a more general conversation that we're prepping them for later. God forbid they ever actually see some of the riots. I know we can't shelter our kids all of the time, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I don't want anybody to misunderstand me. I'm not trying to keep them from everything in life, but I do feel like part of my job as a mother is to keep them I'm angry. I'm angry that this is the situation we're in. As you said, we don't have Mayberry, right? We're never going to have that again. It doesn't exist. It's gone. And that's heartbreaking. And if we get it back, when we get it back, and I know I'm not trying to be black-pilled or anything, but my children may have to continue the fight to get that back, right? So they're not going to have that as their childhood. We try to keep it as innocent as we can in 2020. And part of that is having me at home, having cookies baked in the afternoon, their friends coming over, sharing lemonade. They don't need to hear about all of it right now.
Well, thank you so much, dear lady, for detailing that for everybody. Exactly. And that's yeah, they are in a very sensitive state, our youth, and they're being tormented regularly. Thank God you and your magnificent husband are protecting your young ones. I know they'll grow up to be great champions for white well-being in the future because of it. Now, folks, we only have about 15-20 more minutes left with this wonderful woman, and I want everybody to also appreciate that she is Christian, and this is a very important day for her. So she is taking an hour out of a very important day for her and her family and her worship of the Lord. So we are very grateful that she would do this with us. So if you have questions, please get them into the question widget or tag me as I have instructed earlier in the show on either of the channels, so we can get those to the dear Lacey and see if we can get some answers from her. The first thing we have here is from Angharad Celtic, financially gifting $30. And of course, she's a great woman in service to white well-being. And she asks, Jason, please ask Lacey, who is flawless, to explain to Wildfang that Lacey wants to legislate pearls for women, which is a platform I wholly support. Lacey, red hair, loves Schlafly, loves the 1950s, the perfect era for clothing, and a pearl mandate. She's an avatar. So Lacey, thoughts on pearls only being for women, not for men?
Yes, when I'm elected queen of whatever, I will legislate that all women, not men, have to wear pearls. All women must stay at home and bake cookies every single day. And the only show you're allowed to watch is Leave It to Beaver. And Coverture is making a comeback. Okay, so now that we have that understood and clear, I don't need any more messages about it. No, I mean, not from this one. Not from this one. I'm teasing about the criticism that I get constantly on the daily. So,
it would not be a Lacey visit if we didn't rile some feathers. So please,
yes, no too. And you have to wear heels.
Oh, well, I can say as a man, I strongly endorse that. Let's see. We also have, we have Hansa, a great participant, financially gifting $5. Salute to Lacey Lynn. Mrs. Schlafly was a great heroine of our people. Did you know she wrote some science fiction? I have one of her sci-fi books. Blessings and hail to you and your family, Lacey. So that's from Hansa. Thoughts on what he wrote?
I did. I have not read it.
That's good.
I just got a book from Phyllis that I have not actually read, which is surprising. It was surprising to me because I hadn't seen it before. And it was called Strike from Space. It's about fighting communism from space. So I'm really excited to get into that one.
That is very cool. I didn't know that either. I'm going to have to read it. Thank you very much, Hansa. We also have Shadow and Dust, financially gifting $10 on Entropy, saying, thank you for all you do. Thank you for all you do, from Shadow and Dust. So thank you for that. We have $5 from Brad Pitt, of all people. $5 over on Entropy. For Lacey, what kind of a world do you want to see your sons grow up in? How do we steer our children away from bad pathogens? What advice? Of course, he's talking about anti-white meme pathogens. What advice do you give our moms out there on this?
Well, the kind of world that I want them to grow up in is a world where they can raise a family and attend church, be a breadwinner, be respected by their community, and respect themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not a lot to ask. I want them to be happy and healthy and to be able to I want them to get married and have a family and have that family respect them as head of the house.
Mm-hmm.
My husband is very good at raising his little boys to eventually become the a patriarch, you know, and lead their own family someday. So hardworking, respectable, respected. I want them to be able to do what they want in life. I want them to go after what they feel like doing for the rest of their life, rather than having to take a job that just pays the bills. Um, I want them to feel fulfilled. I want them to feel like at the end of the day they accomplished something, and that they're working towards this greater goal of family and faith and heritage and folk and nation, and just to have it all, have a sense of living that legacy, something to leave behind, the greater things, right? So in this world, that's not very achievable for white men, and that makes me incredibly
That's right.
sad. So we as parents have to give them the tools that they're going to need in order to survive in this world. I mean, if I were to pick a world, it would be a non-feminist one, so that they can at least, I don't know what kind of job opportunities are going to be available to them in the future, not because I'm homeschooling, but because of affirmative action, because of immigration. I mean, so what we have to do as parents is instill in them more tools than maybe what we were given or what generations before us had to give to their children. So unfortunately, that means they're going to have to learn to be tough enough to weather the storm that's going to happen, that's going to come their way after they leave this house. I also I'm very supportive of the very traditional setup of believe it or not, even though there's all this hate for the 50s nuclear family that I apparently have brought onto myself, but I like the idea of the multi-generational houses. A lot of the old South was did a lot of that. A lot of the old South in America did a lot of houses where you have these humongous houses on plantations, and the the youngest generation would leave, go work in an apprenticeship somewhere, and maybe come back and live in the house. And there would be, I plan to have more children, so I would not mind my sons coming back after an apprenticeship or something. That's probably how it's going to go, rather than going to a 4-year college. My husband is very much supporting of the apprenticeship mentorship kind of way about going about a career. That's what worked for him. So I wouldn't mind them working towards that, and kind of also being supported by us a little bit into their 20s or something like that, while I'm having more children and raising another set of kids. So, and I think we need that. I mean, this mindset of, raise them until they're 18 and then kick them out it might not work in 2020 for young white men. I mean, I don't know if that's no, like I said, we might need to give our children more tools and more support than maybe what we had or what our parents had, or something like that. But I mean, also don't coddle them. I mean, some of that more support is going to be toughening them up. And my husband has already said, when they're of age, he's going to train them in a field and kind of be a mentor to them to carry it on, which I think will definitely pole vault them forward. My husband's very good at what he does.
Well, I know he definitely is, and we are definitely lucky to have you and he together, and him to be as white positive as he is, Lacey. So that's, and I regrettably, I have to say that it's we really have to be, we have to look out for both our little girls and little boys, but white males are absolutely not going to be able to get a job in the future if things remain exactly as they are. I mean, even with all of my success at university, my record setting at every job I've ever had, being a white male has made it impossible to get ahead. If you are a white guy in Western civilization, and that's why we see the skyrocketing of suicides for white males faster than any other group. If you are a white male in civilization, Western civilization, you are disadvantaged in every aspect of life. It doesn't matter how good you are, how talented you are, how smart you are, how how many times you succeed, how many times, none of that matters. You are the personification in the anti-white narrative of pure evil. And so it's our little boys that we really have to fight vigorously for, but nonetheless, our little girls as well. Now we have, before we let you go, dear lady, I think we have just 2 more comments, and then I'll read a little bit of this story to get your opinions on it. We have Rez Joe over on the Discipline channel, and he says, if at all possible, say a quick hello to Lacey for me. I sent her an email a few days ago with a link to some article talking smack about Ayla Stewart and 2 other women. I would imagine, Rez Joe, it is Lana is one of the other women, if not. But did you receive that email, or we keep an eye open for it?
I did receive the email, and I know who sent it to me. Thank you for the email, and I'm sorry I haven't gotten back to you. I read the email, and I actually read that article, and I'll reply tomorrow. I'm very, very sorry. But what's interesting about that article, I don't know where it is right now or what the headline is. If he links it, you can let people know. But it said it was something about women weaponizing motherhood for white supremacy. Then they mentioned Phyllis Schlafly, and I kind of take it as a personal attack that I was not among those who were being talked about. I'm like, oh no, you mentioned Phyllis Schlafly, but you didn't get to me. That's
they're not doing their job properly. Clearly, they are falling.
No, I'm not hated enough. I need to work on that.
Yes, you need to work on you have to be. Somebody once said, we won't say who, but somebody once said, if you pick up a newspaper and you don't see yourself hated in it, then you weren't active enough the previous day. Final comment here is by Angharad Celtic. She writes, I'm wearing pearl earrings now, but I'm thinking more like a gentleman prefer blonde's wardrobe. I want the pumpkin gown. I don't exactly know what that is, but maybe that's the shape. Okay. But thank you for that. Now let's get to this. And before I let you go, back to your family, and please thank your husband and children for the time you gave us. Now this story, it comes to us from RT, and we thank Althea for sending it. And that is probably means it's not true. So if it's not shown on CNN, this is probably fake news. So someone is claiming this. There are videos of it. There are plenty of videos of it. And I think it was also, I saw some of the videos of it on Fox. But nonetheless, you have to check with CNN. It says here in the title, watch, quote, Portland, and then it uses the innocuous word protesters, and we know them as anti-white destroyers, burn Bible and flag 24 hours after torching a pig's head in a cop hat. So that would be police officer hat. And they have video here. Of course, I won't be playing the video because I'm sure it's fake news. Demonstrators in Portland set Bibles and U.S. flags on fire amid protests, amid destruction that have spanned nearly 2 months. The day before, anti-white destroyers torched a pig's head with police clothing on it, though they still claim their movement is peaceful. Footage published by RT's video agency shows a group of protesters on Friday night gathered around a burning Bible, with several individuals mockingly warming their hands around the fire. Laughter and shouts of Foxtrot Trump can be heard in the background. U.S. Flags were also burned by the protesters anti-white destroyers, who were seen crowding around the fire and taking photographs. The provocative bonfires come one night after anti-white destroyers torched. Okay, and then it just repeats what it said earlier. It's got more video footage, ladies and gentlemen. I'll just say, as the owner of the channel, that this might all be fake news. So if you want to check it out, head on over to rt.com. They have lots of videos of it, and I think Fox News does as well. Although Friday night saw considerably less violence than in previous days, protesters were still spotted. Protesters, I keep catching myself. Anti-white destroyers still spotted setting fires and committing other acts of not vandalism but destruction in the downtown area. Tensions in the city have been on the rise following the deployment of federal agents tasked with protecting the U.S. courthouse. The federal officers have been accused of using excessive force. Of course, are they allowed to do anything without being accused of excessive force? To protect the building. But the task force claims that it has come under repeated assault by demonstrators and has responded accordingly. So essentially what we have is Christianity is, for the present, the white man's religion, as would be the case if they were talking about, we saw, well, where was it, in Colorado or somewhere like this, where we have this pagan group who has they purchased an old church building that wasn't being used anymore, and of course immediately the anti-whites have moved to try to shut this down, to slander everybody involved, and it's because it's simply white people, and it's an expression of white people, it's an expression of our biospirit. What do you, as a Christian, have in your heart? What do you feel when you see or you hear me reading about here Christian Bibles, the Bible, and that being set on fire along with the U.S. flag?
Well, I'll be honest and tell you kind of where I am mentally with all of it. I think a few years ago, the conversation of how are we going to get back to the America we once loved was interesting, and it was a mental exercise and a fun pastime and provided lots of interesting conversations, and we can bounce back and forth, and iron sharpens iron, and we can have a lot of fun. I don't care anymore. I don't. And I'm not black-pilled. I'm not giving up. This is not me saying it's over, it's never going to happen. I mean, who knows what we have in the future waiting for us? And I do believe that it's better than now. But what I'm over are those conversations about, and maybe this is a male female thing. Maybe it's a gender role issue, which I completely agree with, gender roles. And it's not my place to sit here on the internet and hypothesize and, you know, which economic system is better for our people, and what legislation are we going to enact that is going to be beneficial to us, except for pearls. That's a given. It's not my place to, I don't feel like it is. I think when crap hits the fan, as it has in society, what's natural is going to be what we fall into, and that's gender roles. So I am localizing my focus to our small communities, as I talked about before, and building those up, serving my family, serving my community. And this is a survival instinct in us, right? To naturally fall into these roles. And men on the internet do a way better job about hypothesizing about what's coming and what we need to do to get there. So I don't have a lot of that to talk about. But what I will say is, maybe this is very female of me. Maybe it's the mother in me. I'm not sure. But I never have any conversations anymore that don't boil down to separation. That's it. That's the only word that comes up when, and it's like having conversations about feminism, which I still do on YouTube, but every single video of mine, every single time I talk about it, I just keep repeating one thing. It's communism. So when you get to the point of admitting and recognizing that feminism is communism, where else do you go from there? You're either a communist or you're not. So there's no debate about this legislation or that, or how can we, it doesn't matter. So these conversations, what they're doing is so hateful. It's so evil. If you are around and looking at the news and looking outside and you think that we can still figure it out and learn how to get along, you need to go too. It's insane. It is absolutely insane. This is insanity. I'm sorry. I don't mean to sound like I'm not going to answer your question or maybe that I'm black-pilled or something. I'm not black-pilled. It's just, there's nothing left for me to say. This is insanity. This is evil. It's hateful. And I don't want to be in a country with these people. There's nothing else. My children, my family, our values, we don't belong in the same country as what's going on now. And 60 years ago, they would have locked people up for this. 60 years ago, transgender people would have been in a mental institution. We all know that. I liked that system, but I don't see it going back there and us having an America that existed before, What I really appreciate is that helped me a lot with understanding my religion and ethno-nationalism is faithandheritage.com. I don't think they're publishing anything new, but if y'all go to faithandheritage.com, A Biblical Defense for Ethno-Nationalism is a wonderful piece of work. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with Christians believing that we just can't be in the same country. And in fact, that is the system God put in place. So it's not only not wrong, but it's wrong to do the opposite, which would be called the Tower of Babel and humanism. So I don't feel bad for this at all. It's not working. It's not working. And there's just that's it. That's it.
And that's it about the amount of time we have with you today, my dear lady. Thank you so much for coming on. But I want you to tell everybody where they can find you and also what you're working on. And finally, just before I pass it back to you, so you can tell folks where they can find you and what you'll be working on next, is Angharad Celtic got back with this pumpkin gown reference. And apparently it is from a movie. And there is an older movie. Jane Russell and Marilyn Monroe are descending some steps. And Marilyn Monroe is wearing this orangish gown, looking ravishing, if I do say, and causing different streams of thought to run through my head than we should be having right now. So why don't we get to what you are going to be doing next? Let the folks know, and also let them know where they can find you, and then we will let you go back to your wonderful family and Sunday.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure. Well, on YouTube, I am still going to review the last few episodes of Mrs. America, the show attacking the late and great Phyllis Schlafly. So as I'm working on that, I'm going to be putting out a video this week of a homemaking binder that I had mentioned it on my channel, and a couple people, several people wanted to see a video about how I organize my time management and my house projects and how I do homemaking organized in a binder. So it's kind of a mom organizational kind of video. So that'll be fun. And then I would love to do a cooking video on a cake So I'm going to make a cake on camera, so that'll be fun. And then I'm going to later down the road, I've got all of these kind of scheduled out. Hopefully I can stick to it. But it'll be fun to dive into the psychology of boxed cake mixes and why they are evil and they are communism. So there's a lot of fun things happening. We're going to have fun with some mom subjects and a little bit of homemaking subjects, and then talk about communism and why it's horrible.
Well, it sounds like a hell of a lot of fun, and we already have some folks, Angerod Celtic among them, who have said that they're going to head right over and subscribe to your channel. We hope we see a big increase in your subscriber count and the number of folks you're able to reach. And I imagine some of these folks will be retweeting and regabbing, whatever it might be. You'll be able to find Lacey's link down in the description below for her channel. And did you have? Did you share your Twitter? I didn't notice.
I can look it up.
Oh, well, I think it is
LACEYLYNN. I guess if you just, well, all my links are in my my YouTube videos.
Okay. Yes, it's at Lacey, LACEY _LLYNN.
That's the one they gave me when I signed up, so that's why I can never remember it.
Well, my dear, no need to. When they just when you can put it one place for everybody to find, and you can have them find you that way. It's been glorious speaking with you again. And as I say, please give my best to your husband and your little boys. Big hugs. And we'll let you go now, and we'll continue with a fantastic show. But look forward to talking with you again soon. Okay, dear sister?
I thank you for having me. Y'all have a good night.
All right, okay, bye-bye. Well, how magnificent was that, ladies and gentlemen? We're going to take a quick break, and then we will come back, and we will talk about, let's see, what do we have? So many other topics to talk about today. So many news stories. Let's take a quick. We have the Biden plan. We have civilizational confidence, key to restoring America. Something about a non-whites in Louisville. Book review of White Fragility. Brinks warns new widespread phase of virus. Who is an anti-white? Stuff going on right now with the NHL. The anti-whites moving to take all of that away from us. All of these and more. Your comments, your questions, and we will be addressing them all, as well as your financial gifts when we return. And I look forward to seeing you in just a few moments.
Though the modern world may know a million secrets, the ancient world knew one. And that one was greater than the million. For the million secrets breed death, disaster, sorrow, selfishness, lust, and avarice. But the one secret confers life, light, and truth.
We light the fires of heaven, bringing the light to man, shining in the darkest places, so all who see can understand. There is no
And how exciting has the show been thus far? Yes, yes, yes. I saw some questions over the course. Let me get to these financial gifts quickly. First, we had the great Sloths financially gifting while Lacey Lynn was with us. $3. Thank you so much, dear brother. Doing marvelous things, this hero for White Wellbeing, out there in the trenches, exercising the lexicon and dialectics. $3 financial gift. Thank you, my dear brother, over on Cash App. And we have 41 BMC financially gifting over there. Another magnificent participant doing wonderful things for White Wellbeing, and financially gifting $20 right here for White Wellbeing and recapturing our destiny. God bless you for the financial gift, brother. And let's see, I think that is all. I can refresh over here just to make sure that we are not missing anything. The stream is strong. The stream is strong within you tonight. And we'll take a look over here to see if we have any comments over on that discipline channel. And let us grab, before we do, Irish Ice financially gifting earlier in the show tonight. $15. Thank you so very much, brother. Writing, I am also using my righteous anger to convince people to come to White Wellbeing, as well as to discourage anti-whites from walking around with their chests puffed out. I stop anti-whites in the street and ask them why they want to change our country, why they want to erase us. They squirm. I laugh. Kip. Amen, brother. Well done for that. Kip, indeed. And we appreciate what you are doing for White Wellbeing and your financial gift here tonight. We also had a financial gift from Stony, financially gifting over here on Entropy. $15 a little earlier in the night. Thank you so very much for that financial gift and saying everything that Stony wanted to say with those $15. Over here on the question widget, Yiz the Eunuch, another one of our magnificent heroes. So grateful to have her, as talented as she is. It's truly remarkable, and we are very lucky. She writes, I've had my many small victories with my email and social media campaign again this week, and brought new people to your stream tonight from the stream I was on earlier. I'd love to be a caller again tonight, but I'm exhausted from a long weekend of work and spreading White Wellbeing, so I'll be heading to bed early tonight. Thank you and everyone for this great community. Well, if you're still around, let me know. Maybe we'll take a call early before you go to bed. Thank you very much, my dear lady, for all of that work and everybody you brought over to have a look at the work we are doing here in service to White Wellbeing and really making a change in the world. We have also over here Vokish Warrior with a in the question widget writing that Nick Fuentes is launching his own streaming platform to no longer fear his show being canceled. He ran a test stream today. Do you think this is the way forward, or should we continue to self-censor here? Always with the bad premise, my friend. Always with the bad premise. The way forward is going to continue to be to get in front of as many of our brothers and sisters on as many platforms and in as many places as we possibly can. I think to self-ghettoize is an error. I'm not saying at the same time here by saying that Nick is in self-ghettoizing. He clearly has no more options. It is consuming too much of his time, I'm sure, especially when he's trying to run a show where he covers numerous news subjects that he has to read and prep for so that he can put on a quality show, and he just doesn't have the time to try to be on numerous different platforms. And so this is what he has recourse to. Now we have the afterparty.tv where all of our videos, live streams, and etc. are posted, so that if we are deleted off of a platform, we will those videos will still be available over on that website. The possibility of streaming directly on that website has been a potential from the very beginning when we created it a year ago. And so the potential is there when the need arises. we will look into doing that. But what we did do was something that had never been done before, which was we incorporated a live player from another entity pulling from multiple other platforms so that we can be on multiple platforms, streaming on those platforms, and stream through that other software directly to our website. So in effect, we are streaming on our own website, and this was implemented a year ago. So we have been on the leading edge of this. Very excited to see Nick doing the same thing or something similar, being able to stream on his own platform with no other concerns or anybody else that could potentially get in the way. There are some considerations when you stream on your own platform, and it's certainly if you are streaming there and that is it, that's going to be your place where you are live, and others are, you're not going to be on other places, and that is that the anti-whites still have the ability to bottleneck you, and whether or not folks can find you, it will end up being all word of mouth. I would not bet for a moment that Nick, being a legitimate thorn in the side of anti-whites, that you'll be able to type in into any of the search engines Nick and his new website and have that be presented to you as an option. You're going to have to, this is what I'm guessing, you're going to have to look, you're going to have his URL to be able to go there directly, bookmark that page, and then hope that attacks on not only the server are a failure, but also attacks on other links in the chain. One of the important things when dealing with warfare, and we could try to couch this in a number of different ways, but let's just say warfare in World of Warcraft, in video games, or warfare in Dungeons and Dragons, or where the same, as far as when it's human on human conflict, the same physics apply. And that is that when you are a flexing, amorphous, and what's another way to say, telegraphing, telescoping spider's web in the environment. And this, again, you please, folks, try to think about this in three dimension, not in two. When you are this way, sort of this amorphous, flexing, atrophying, telescoping spider web in a three-dimensional environment in which conflict is waged, you are difficult for the anti-whites to snip at any particular place and shut the whole thing down. If you voluntarily build a fortress somewhere, they then have, we can use the terminology of like supply chains. There are then chains that become very evident from a hub, and it becomes very easy to say where is the weak spot in that link of those chains and strike there and shut things down. Now, I'm not saying either that Nick hasn't considered this. I don't know exactly what's going on there. Perhaps he's thinking about all of those things. Perhaps there are some things that we are doing that we won't speak about publicly, that me and Jared George have strategized about and come up with a lot of interesting ideas that we don't talk about publicly. Perhaps Nick has come to the same conclusions, and he is implementing the same sort of strategies to stay afloat. I imagine he's doing everything within his power, and more power to him for that. I hope it's a great success that he has over there on his platform, and that a great many people are able to find him, and maybe they're able to get the word out, and before the anti-whites are able to shut down the ability to find him on the different search engines, Yahoo, Google, etc. Yeah, and until then, you know, it's going to be just a work in progress. So I'm excited for him. I did hear about some of these efforts, I guess, being put together a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago. Somebody told me, and I hope it's a big success. I hope it's robust. I'm sure he's a smart guy. I'm sure they've thought about a lot of the possibilities that could go wrong in places of attack, where the anti-whites will try to take him and the work that he's doing down. So good on him. But no, we won't. We're going to stay as many places as we can and remain as amorphous as we can, so that we are seen by as many eyes as is possible in the world, and that will mean, staying here. And to the question of self-censoring, I don't have views other than I share here. I don't. I have never spoken in the way that the bad guy talks in the anti-white narrative. I have never approached the service to white well-being in that way. So it's not like I'm just like I'm just holding the reins back from talking like I'm made by Hollywood or something. This is not my thoughts. This is not in my heart. I love our people, and this is a movement of redemption, a movement of love, and we are going to recapture our destiny this way. The only thing I have to do here is something that I will do right now. So once again, I want to make it very clear. YouTube and the anti-whites who run YouTube are not restraining my speech. There's not more that I would say. What I do say by being on YouTube is, and by the way, I'm not saying that you hold this opinion, Vokish warrior, but if you are watching and you think, well, I really hate that Jason just can't let loose with what he really thinks, then you really need to read Go Free. You really need to start treating the mean pathogens in yourself. I absolutely look nothing like the bad guy in the anti-white narrative, and never have. And everywhere I've shown up and I've helped people or participated or whatever, and they presented themselves that way, I told them it was folly. I told them it was error. I told them they were doing the bidding of the anti-whites. I told them there was a better way to serve, and to serve our people, our well-being, and that was in love for our people, being our own hero, rather than looking like a twit, imitating and talking like and thinking the thoughts that the anti-whites want them to think. And in fact, why don't we go ahead and, okay, I'll do two things right now, because we have the issue of these flyers that were dropped, and I want to address that. And we also have this to say, because my lovely guest, Lacey Lynn, mentioned a couple things that I have to speak to, because we are on YouTube, and I want to just make sure that my thoughts as the channel owner are very clear. And that is, first of all, she mentioned Black Lives Matter. She didn't say anything negative about Black Lives Matter, but what she did say, that they were out on the road, the children saw that they were having a protest or whatever they want to call it. And so I do want to say that the people in Black Lives Matter, I'm sure there are good people in that organization, and they are serving the well-being of their people in the way that they are allowed to do so, in the way that they think is best, in the way that is most effective, and God knows it's working out for them. And we are doing the same thing in a way that is more in keeping with our biospirit, in a way that is what we would refer to as love, what we refer to as redemption. I'm sure it's love in however they define that as well, the way that they are behaving and acting. But we are serving white well-being. They're serving black well-being. More power to the folks over on Black Lives Matter. Oh, another point that she mentioned that I just wanted to speak to was she was talking about, and essentially I framed it up here with a note: fantasy yields to hardship. As things become harder for Western kind across the West, and I guess maybe we should just make this an MC in and of itself, because what happens is all of these ideas where a woman can do everything a man can do, except better or whatever. All of these ideas, all of this, the time wasted on video games, all of everything that you can imagine now, all of this weird leisure that some people have, and all of that yields to hardship. Once things get hard, and as they get harder, people will have, naturally, everybody will make it, because some will fail, but those who succeed will naturally have to revector toward a lifestyle, a way of living, a way of relationships, the conduct of relationships, a way of conducting oneself as parents, spouses to children, children to parents, etc. The way this will have to work will be very healthy. It'll look very reminiscent of healthier times. And so that's essentially what she was saying, and I could not have agreed with it more. Fantasy does yield to hardship. She also mentioned an opinion that she had on transgender people, and she thought that at an earlier period in history that there was a different view on people who couldn't figure out exactly what sex they were, or they thought they were some other sex than they were, or they are some other sex, whatever they are, whatever they determine. That was her opinion about that period in history, her historical knowledge of that period in history. And so we want to say, who knows? Maybe these transgender people are infinitely better than we are. I'm sure they will build a civilization that will look much better than Western civilization, and we'll all want to move there if that's the case. So I'm waiting until the verdict is arrived at on those folks who call themselves transgender. The challenge is open to them to build a wonderful civilization and to live wonderful, strong, healthy, happy lives. If they can do that, more power to them. I also, let's see, so I wanted to jump over to this, and this is an important point that I have to make. And this was sent to me by one of our great participants in Service to White Wellbeing. And this is a news item. University of Arizona police investigate heretical. Now, of course, the word they use in the title of this news story is the anti-white slur racist. Police investigate heretical, threatening stickers left on campus. Now, of course, it says here, let's see, investigators with the University of Arizona Police Department are looking into a sticker. It looks like it's more than one. I don't see how they got. Okay, left on the UA campus threatening the lives of non-white people. The sticker found on campus near the intersection of East and 2nd Street, North Park Avenue on Tuesday, June 30, has a series of heretical phrases printed on it. And a particularly despicable statement at the very top. Now, what I see when I see this sticker or stickers is that what I see, I guess it is one. Okay, it's just two different angles. And so what I see when I see this is a hate hoax. The odds that this is a hate hoax are through the roof, because it would be the dumbest thing possible to write this sort of thing and post this on a sticker somewhere. This is beyond stupidity. No one in Service to White Wellbeing would ever think such a thought, and this is to harm non-white people. No one would think such a thought. But there's something else here that strikes me that I wanted to speak to for a moment, and that is service to white people that finds its meaning and finds its action in what is dictated by the anti-white narrative, and then as a consequence has gained inertia by the people, these veterans in the anti-white, or veterans in the cause for white well-being, or in service to white well-being, or let me just say, generally speaking, in the white positive sphere, because these people are not going free. These people are not in service to white well-being as we are. So it's something completely different. But what you end up having is you have old, educated veterans who have given their lives, who have given their time. They have earned the credence and the respect that they now have by way of their suffering in a way that they thought would be beneficial to us. And yet they were merely imitating the ne'er-do-well, the antagonist in the anti-white narrative. And what do you see in the movies, in the stories, in the books, in the sitcoms, in the etc. about the form of that service to white people? What form does it take? Well, it takes violence as a form. It takes threats as a form. It takes bravado as a form. It takes terrorism as a form. And it takes an intense focus on the bad behavior or the warts of other groups of people. At no point are they talking about the good or love for our people, our children, except insofar in in the anti-white narrative, now is what I'm talking about, in the scripts, except insofar it is the implied purpose of the person who is actually saying these monstrous things and who is actually focused entirely on the warts of other races of man. If that is the substance of your service to our race, you have to get redeemed now. You have to drop that garbage and get redeemed now, or you've got to get the hell out. Because that is not going free. That is not serving white well-being. That is nothing that we are doing. That is nothing but a failure. It is nothing but ugliness. What you end up having then is you have these individuals who, when they were young, they adopted the anti-white narrative. They adopted the caricature that the anti-whites gave them for how they're supposed to behave, think, speak, etc., salute, march, everything. And then they go out into the real world and they believe that because they started in a good place, caring for white people, that they are now, that care imbues all of these other ugly things and somehow legitimizes it. So when they give endless, I'm just so sick of the endless recitation of this group's crime, that group's crime, this IQ level, that IQ level. That is not serving white well-being at all. There is no implied service to it. It is total stupidity. Your focus is so in the wrong place that this is genuinely a paradigm shift. That is why you have people who are coming along who are saying, I'm going to give you access to $2,000. You let me know what you want to do for white well-being, access up to $2,000. That is why there are people talking like this. That is why people financially gift the work we're doing here. That is why you have people coming and saying, you've changed my life. That is why we have people coming here saying it's a total paradigm shift, because it is. You have on this sticker, this hideous sticker that I'm sure was not, I feel like I'm 99% sure this is a hate hoax. Because it starts off with harm a non-white person. No sane person. I mean, maybe somebody who is deep into drug use, heroin or psychotropics or whatever else out there, pharmaceuticals, would think such a thing and think that they're doing us any good. And then it goes on to say, use this, okay, it uses one of these symbols that, by the way, if you're using these symbols, you're right onto a terrorist list in the United States, and I'm sure put right onto terrorist lists in the rest of the Western countries. So stop being cute. Stop thinking that some symbol is your identity. Stop thinking that some symbol is suddenly the function of your service. Don't think that you're going to get out on the street corner and wave some symbol and that somehow changes things. That is midget wit thought at its finest. So don't use these symbols that in the United States immediately are going to get you onto a terrorist list. And remember, we covered here now what gets you onto the terrorist list. And the terrorist list, remember the implied violence or whatever, however they phrased it, those other names that they were using that we don't use because of it, then get you on the no-fly list as well. It then gets you on the no self-defense list as well. All of these things are getting ready to be rolled out, and we see the red flag law list as well. We just saw more news of more people having their firearms taken away. How much do you want to bet that more than a few of those people were supporters of John Mark and Kurt Doolittle? How much do you want to bet me that they lost their right to self-defense for their lives because of that? Now, I know a bunch of you now are doing the right thing that I told you to do. Good on you, and let's hope it works out for you, because when it goes before the grand jury and the jury, you'll be able to stay out of jail and keep your right to self-defense. But then it goes, so it has this symbol, and then it has, so that's the stamp of, okay, now you know that we're the bad guys in the narrative. That makes a lot of sense, in the narrative that you live by, whoever sees this sticker. And then right underneath of that, it has the hashtag White Lives Matter. Of course, this is just a snarky inversion of the phrase Black Lives Matter, which was brilliant. White Lives Matter is not brilliant. Black Lives Matter is brilliant because let me not put those thoughts together. I'll come back to that. I'll come back to why it's brilliant. White Lives Matter is not bad. It's an inversion. It's a snarky inversion of, and people who are not in our communities, when they see it for the first time, it does not resonate with them the way that you think it will. They see the snarky inversion of what is legitimate in society, that what the regime has told them is legitimate. In general, I'm not saying that White Lives Matter is bad or don't use it, or it's not bad. You can use it, but you see what is implemented here with this sticker right underneath of White Lives Matter hashtagged. They then have the verbiage: they ravage, they raid, they loot, and then they're coming to your neighborhood. This is almost assuredly a hate hoax, and when we find out who actually gets arrested for this, I'm sure it'll be an anti-white of one race or another, obviously one race or another, but could be white, could be non-white, and anti-white. But the bottom line is, there are people in the white positive sphere who think that that verbiage right there has somehow helped us, who think that that focus is somehow correct. You could not be more incorrect. You know what's motivating so many women to get active in service to white well-being right now? Why we have so many women? It's not just because I dance on camera and take my shirt off and all of that sort of. It's the reason why is because they are focused on their love of their children. You heard Lacey talking about it tonight. It is love that motivates the man and woman to walk through the fires of hell, to do great and glorious things for our people. It is not a scientific exploration of the warts of other groups, for Christ's sake. You have plenty of your own warts. White people can't stick together. And you want to talk about their crime rate? You want to talk about looting and diminishing what they're actually doing, which is destruction of Western civilization. You want to draw, if I see one more stupid cartoon of some non-white group of people, if I ever meet the cartoonist again, he'll have better days in his life. These things are asinine. They are as low IQ'd as you can possibly get. Drop this shit. Drop it. No more looking, no more focusing intently and incessantly as the center of the gravitational pull of service to white people, the low IQs or the high IQs or the greater criminality or the less criminality or whatever it is of all of these groups. That's not the issue. The issue is whether or not we stick together and can protect each other. And you know what? You can't. You don't have a people. Because you're doing this stupid. Because you're engaged in this stupidity. We need to be protecting each other. Not talking about all of the atrocities of one particular, and that's the focus for all times of this group or that religious group or this other group. Forget about it. If our well-being is at the core of our story, if we are at the center of our story, Satan himself won't stop us from recapturing our destiny. And it won't matter how many charts you show of bad behavior. God Almighty, this is the argument I had with two popular people 2 years ago on another stream. And they said, no, you got to tell them about you got to just endlessly focus on these other things. I said, for who? Well, our people. Who is our people? No one you're talking to has a people. How can you be so smart and so stupid? Everyone you're talking to is a radical individualist. Every single one of them I've talked to after your conferences, after your speeches. And every single one of them is not saying what we can do. They're saying where they're going to move. They're saying where they can flee, where they can hide. Is anybody keeping their ears open? So that's what I had to say about this. And let's talk about these MCs, these new MCs, because they are intimately related. When it comes to this violent stupidity, and this, I'm sure it's an anti-white who did this, harm a non-white person, give me a break. And when it does come out as a hate hoax, let's all spread it. Let's all make sure everybody knows that the individuals arrested, caught for this when it does come out. And just all use the MC hate hoax. There are premises there that are going to serve you in ways you can't imagine. Here's the MC. And this is the lesson of going free today, these MCs. The blood of the innocent dooms their victimizers. The blood of the innocent dooms their victimizers. Every single case in history, since we have been serving White Wellbeing, every one of your lives out there, or since we've been in the white positive sphere, we here are serving White Wellbeings, but since we have been in the white positive sphere, every time they have gone out and harmed people, and it doesn't matter whether you want to try to make an argument about, well, based on their crime rates, or these people were going to grow up to XYZ, at those moments they are innocent. And every single time that some drug-addled, and you know, some would claim, and it's probably false, we give both sides here on this channel, never speaking for YouTube, some would claim that these people are motivated to these acts by agencies of various types, even of governments, and they are helped along to do these sorts of things. Probably not true, but there are people out there who claim such things. Whether they're acting alone or not, every time they go out and they harm, much less murder, numerous innocent individuals, it always redounds to our detriment. And the first place that we put our thoughts is not the place where anti-whites put theirs, and that is to the families and to the lives of those innocent people lost, irrespective of whatever immutable characteristics they might have. Their lives should not have been lost. They should not have been killed. They should not be without their family members, those who are left behind. It's monstrous. And then we focus our true anger, our true ire on the idiot who went in, the monster who went in and committed those atrocities, because it harms our people. Anybody lauding any of these murderers, these mass murderers or terrorists, they need to be redeemed, to come back into White Wellbeing, and to dump these monsters and never speak of them again, except to say that that individual was a monster, mentally ill, pumped up on psychotropics. They are in case after case, certainly not doing anything for white people or the white positive sphere, not doing anything good, because every single act of violence that harms the innocent, every single act of violence that harms the innocent, the blood of the innocent dooms their victimizers, harms Western kind, harms our ability, undermines our ability to recapture our destiny, to serve the well-being of our children, to protect those little boys and little girls who are going to come into a world, come of age in a world that absolutely despises them. And they're going to be despised that much more because this ugly, nitwitted, backwoods dipshit decided that he was going to fly a flag or say a sentence or whatever it was before he goes out and commits some sort of atrocity. Anybody promoting these people is either glowing in the dark, or they need to be redeemed, or they're too dumb to be redeemed, and we need to just make sure that they know that they are never welcomed in service to White Wellbeing. The blood of the innocent dooms their victimizers. The next one comes to this, speaks to this idea about some sort of violent resistance or the threat of violence. And of course, this partitioning of countries and the like. This is the quintessential threat of violence. Do not make this unless you want to go this argument unless you want to go to jail. This is what prosecutors will present to grand juries. This is what they will present to juries, and then they will give you a big vat of Vaseline for the next 50 years in prison. You cannot speak of partitioning any part of the United States or Canada or the UK or whatever and have them, the anti-whites, not either use the law as it's written or reinterpret or dilate it or whatever it takes to be able to rope you in to a conviction of terrorism that puts you away forever and ever. And it's not just your life that's lost, but it's all of your loved ones you leave behind. Maybe those children, maybe that wife no longer has the protection of her husband because you had to have some bravado and say, well, there's obviously going to be some sort of partitioning here. It's going to be the only fair thing. No, idiot. They are going to go to a grand jury and say that you want violence, because how else do you partition a part of a country away from the country? How else do you thieve a part of it from the country? And no, you're not going to be able to say, well, what I was actually meaning was, do you think they give a damn what you're actually meaning? Do you think they're going to dig at all into what you actually meant? Do you think you can say enough in the preamble or in the end of the book or whatever it might be to try to say, oh no, what I actually mean is this is pure theory, I'm just kidding, I think that somebody else is going to do. No, they'll be able to say that you are encouraging it or that you want it to happen, that you think, you've obviously said that good will come of it, and then you're going to go to jail. And worse yet, you're going to get other people listening to your asinine argument, and then they are going to be robbed from service of going free. They're going to be robbed of the service of actually changing lives and actually recapturing our destiny, because they're going to think there's some kind of hope in your intellectualized or backward or whatever it might be argument that you make, that there's going to be some kind of partitioning somehow. The MC is, when you are outgunned, you die with arms but win with brains. When you are outgunned, you die with arms but win with brains. You are not going to be able to have any sort of victory by force against the anti-white regime anywhere on planet Earth. And the fact that I have to say this proves two things. It proves we have too many people who have been misled by those who are self-serving and talking with bravado and they want attention for themselves, and these glow-in-the-dark bastards who are out there, you know, whether a lot of people claim that they're glow-in-the-dark anti-whites. Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. On this channel, we say both sides. But it speaks to these two possibilities. Because there is, you really need like Kermit level, Muppet level intelligence to realize that you cannot have a victory by force against the anti-white regime. This is the dumbest thing. Give it up. You can have victory by way of brains. So there's a parallel here with the word arms and the word brains. If you're bright enough to see that, when you are outgunned, and you die with arms and you win with brains. That means symbolic victories, and we are having them one after the other. And against corrupt entities like the anti-white regime, symbolic victories change the world. It changes the paradigm. It changes the tilt that the world is currently on. You don't have to understand how that's so if you can't get it. You can go back to, spending your days with the coloring book, or you can become a hero in our story and just take up what is clearly working right in front of your face. Finally, the other MC we want to talk about is, and this comes to the voting. And let me just take a quick look over here. Okay, now I want to say to you all quickly that we are going to end this stream just before the 4-hour mark, and then there will be a brief pause, and we are going to start the stream right over, and we are going to keep going. So there'll be a stoppage to the stream, there'll be a brief pause, and then it should be the exact same placeholder on both channels, and you'll be able to click on the new placeholder, and it will be live, and we'll just keep chugging along. So it's a bit of an experiment today. We'll see how long the transition takes. There are a couple reasons why we are going to do this. All you all will have to do is just click on the new placeholder to keep following the stream for the rest of the night. So it comes to the question of voting for T-Rump for what he will not do to us. And there have been a lot of pushback. A lot of people in the community are receiving pushback from folks who they haven't heard it yet. They're hearing it for the first time, voting. And to them, it's a really, remember the human brain, and I've talked about it before, two hemispheres, and I and probably others have as well, have come to this conclusion. But I believe that it's the reason why we can only see things dichotomously. So it's going to be left, right, up, down, forward, backward. And so there is a paradigm shift. You have to shift them out of the paradigm that they've come to, which is many people that you're not going to change anything with voting. And then on the other end of the spectrum, the other erroneous notion that voting or that voting changes everything. So this is the MC to use. Now we have to, in any way we can, the secondary purpose of the project that we're working on toward November, primary one is to get going free in front of a minimum of 100,000 MAGA supporters. Secondary purpose of what we are doing in this project from now until November is getting TRUMP elected for what he will not do. For what he will not do. Getting T-Rump elected for what he will not do. This is the MC you use. And it makes it very simple. And I will tell you, when I create MCs, I start off with an argument that will make sense to an above average intelligent person. And then I dial it down to a midwit, and then I dial it down to a midget wit, so that even they will be able to understand, and they won't be able to resist the logic that is within their reach. MC, a tool in the service of white well-being, is never illegitimate. A tool in the service of white well-being is never illegitimate. This decision to vote this coming election for T-Rump for what he will not do is a tool in service to white well-being, because it's going to give us 4 more years during which we have to work, again, like the wind, like an angel, to reach as many of our brothers and sisters around the world before the Biden plan comes into effect, before this other Bass Woman's Way Forward Act comes into effect, which I will be taking a look at here. We will still be able to serve white well-being once these individuals get into office, once they begin implementing these new restrictive laws and censorship and the like, but it's going to look very different at that time. It is not going to be, from the perspective we are, where we sit right now, there is no sense in surmising that at some point in the future it's going to get better for us to reach our brothers and sisters. No, the only logical thing to do right now is to surmise that it's going to be infinitely more difficult to reach them in the future than it is today. And that is the reason why today we need to take steps to secure 4 more years of time to reach our brothers and sisters. He's not going to do anything for us. He's not white positive. He's not going to keep his promises. None of that matters in this decision. All that matters in this decision is that he will not implement the Biden plan. He will not implement the Global Compact on Immigration. He will not, he's already refused to sign that. He will not implement the Way Forward Act. All of these things that we know the anti-whites on the Democrat side are just foaming at the mouth with saliva and blood on the opportunity to do this sort of thing. And by the way, when it comes to Biden, I just want to clear things up. The people are saying, well, it's going to be his vice president is going to be the actual president. That's not accurate until it becomes real. we have to look at things and talk about things as they actually are. The office of president is filled by an empty vessel. The only individual that hasn't been in toto an empty vessel is Donald Trump. He's been in large measure an empty vessel for very powerful people, far more powerful than he is, far wealthier than he is. But I likened him in a conversation to a good lady in the white positive sphere. I likened him to Ted Turner. Ted Turner was an empty vessel when he built CNN, but he was also a little bit of a wild card. He would occasionally do his own things, and that's why they decided to kick him out from CNN and take it over. Trump is the same way. He's an empty vessel in many ways, but at the same time, he's a little bit of a wild card. He'll do some of his own things because that's just who he is. Otherwise, the office is held by, and has been for a very long time, an empty vessel who is not saying that these people care about white, Western kind, or Western civilization, one iota. They might be as anti-white as everyone else, but they take their marching orders. And of course, this is a theory that may or may not be true. Some people hold it. Some people hold the reverse theory, that there's no one else that influences a politician, that they're just doing whatever they say they're doing on the surface. And I don't speak for YouTube. So both sides of the story. But what will happen is, when Biden is in office, the theory that some people hold is that folks behind the scenes will be guiding his agenda. And then at some point, so it's not going to be his vice president guiding his agenda. She's not going to be the actual president until she becomes the actual president, when he says he's too sick or too unwell to continue as president, and he's going to have to step down. And that would be a statement that he would make if it comes to that. Then his vice president will become president. And then I think it's the highest ranking Democrat becomes vice president, and maybe that's Nancy Pelosi. So maybe you have a Bass Pelosi White House if Biden wins, and then 2 years down the road or something of that nature. So do you want to be stuck with a potential Bass Pelosi White House, or do you want to have another 4 years of this T-rump who's anti-white and who we don't like and who's going to disappoint us in every way, but won't implement the things that we talked about last week and we'll talk about some this week? It should be simple. So a tool in the service for white well-being is never illegitimate. Let's go to the mailbag, because we got a lot to be excited about when it comes to the mailbag. And I will take a look at your comments, and we will keep rolling before we have this little intermission, if you will, before we begin the next stream. $25 financial gift given to us by a wonderful woman in the white positive sphere. And $25. Thank you so much. And this comes from Southern Bloom, which I think might be here today. And I see that, yes, trumpet might be a good idea as well. We could mix it up. We could have T-Rex and trumpet and T-Rump. Greetings, Jason. I have been wanting to donate to your channel for a long time, and I am very excited that I finally have the opportunity to do so. Unfortunately, that means I have to do it through snail mail, but it will have to suffice for the time being. I was just recently finally able to get both Going Free and Born Guilty. I am reading through Born Guilty and have already read Going Free. Although I am yet to really work with it, I have been using the dialectics online to practice with great success. Just the other week, I responded to a person who was expressing a lot of white guilt under an anti-white Instagram post. I tried to tell that person that the true intention of that post was to harm and shame white people, and that they should not feel white guilt because of it. They ended up being very anti-white, as they usually are. And with the dialectics, I knew exactly how to respond. I ended up beating them so bad that they deleted all of their comments and blocked me. It is a small thing, but it felt nice to come out on top and not feel helpless in the face of anti-white rhetoric. Ladies and gentlemen, just think about that. Every single one of you. It felt nice to finally come out on top and not feel helpless in front of the anti-white rhetoric. I'm looking forward to what I'll be able to do once I work on my MPs and study the dialectics further. Keep up the good work, Jason. Sincerely, Southern Bloom. Much love to you, dear lady. Beautiful handwriting. How does this happen? These folks who, I mean, you start going free and all of a sudden the handwriting changes, becomes absolutely stunning for so many folks. And thank you so much for that. We have one more. And this, ladies and gentlemen, this is the individual who has made $2,000 available to us. And I think maybe I'll just say the first name. $2,000. And why? Think about that testimony. Why? Why has this individual made this colossal princely sum of money available to us? Is it because in the service of white well-being? Is it because this is another tired, old... I mean, think about what we've done here. We have something that is a brand new vision. That since it is a brand new vision, so many have a hard time seeing exactly what's going on. What exactly are they doing over there? This is not another group with another banner and another symbol that will easily be able to be turned into, you know, these different anti-white groups. They'll put on the different FBI and Homeland Security lists. They're not talking about the warts of every other group of mankind. There's not a politician at the center of this. There's not a political party at the center of this. It's not another webzine or mail, or every other month you get another newspaper in the mail, or journal, or whatever it might be, quarterly journal or whatever it might be. It's not just another discussion of tired old philosophical ideas. They have a hard time seeing something that is brand new. Remember, maybe if you're old enough, what you thought when the internet was brand new. I saw a video a couple of weeks ago now where it was this Good Morning America or one of these shows, and these people who are still in the regime's media, and they had a caller on a phone line, a regular landline, and the woman interviewing, I can't remember what her name is, but she's a recognizable face, and she said, to the guy, let's say the guy's name was Dave. She said, "Dave, could you tell us what internet is?" Nobody could conceive it. That's what's happening here. But we're having so much success that it is absolutely irrefutable, to the point that people are saying $2,000 that you now have access to continue to make the success happen. Not sure exactly what's happening under the hood there, but you have massive horsepower that is taking place. And I guarantee you, I've said this many times before. I've said this to a lot of old timers who, upon hearing success after success after success, they're still, they still are like inscrutable. They're just, I'm not quite getting, it doesn't quite make sense to me. I say, well, do successes make sense? Does victory make sense? Does people getting better make sense? Well, yeah, that makes sense. The numbers growing, does that make sense? Yes. Does testimonies of successes make sense? Yes. Well, if that makes sense, then get the hell on board. You don't need to understand what's under the hood to understand that we are having success after success. And this hero, Joseph, and let's get a raucous round of applause for this colossus who has strode across the landscape, writing this, saying with that testimony, $2,000, given what has just happened to our brother and sister over at Red Ice, I want to make a contribution to you while I still can. You and everybody that puts their face out there, over the air, have a tremendous amount of guts and love for our people. Nobody does what you do for money. If you wanted to make money, you would be working for the other side. And let me just pause right there. When I worked on the Hill, ladies and gentlemen, I looked at what they paid the anti-whites who had brains. And it was 6 figures. That's where you start. If you're an anti-white and you have brains and you can organize and you can make it happen, they pay you. It's all the sex you could want. It's the nice cars. It's the houses. It's everything you could want. That if you're just after this carnal pleasures, it's all of that you could want. And I made my choice. I made it a long time ago, and there was no turning back. I find that the methods of listen to this. This is a veteran in the white positive sphere. I find that the methods of Go Free are the only methods that work. Are the only methods that work. Let me underline that with $2,000. This is not a rich person to whom $2,000 is nothing. The old ways and symbols just turn people off and drive them away. I can use the methods and dialectics in Go Free to have discussions with friends, and I think I might be receptive. If they are receptive, I give them a copy of Go Free. And he's given numerous copies away. To spread the word online, I go to what might be called adjacent market spaces, where I feel there might be receptive people. And I think I will not say the places that he goes to. A number of places. So this individual is actively out there spreading Going Free, going to these other places, sharing the lexicon, sharing the dialectics, winning in these arguments, turning people on to Going Free. Working class person says, even though been in the white positive sphere, a veteran, this is the only thing that works. And by the way, let me underline that with $2,000. All these sites need to hear the word. I leave comments about White Wellbeing and links to Go Free. I try to hit a few sites first thing in the morning before going to work. Like the rest of us who in Western kind, we get up, we go to work, we are the cog in the machine, or these anti-white bastards have taken over, and then we come home and we got to do it every day because we are the ones who have to pay the bills for these godforsaken bills that they want to turn into law. The Democrats and the other anti-whites on the Republican side, we are the ones who make this machinery work. We are the ones who have to pay for all of these anti-whites who burn down their neighborhoods, and then they get they get money from us, money from taxpayers, so that they can eat, so that their businesses can be rebuilt. Don't believe the siren songs that they go out of business because of it. You get to pay. This guy gets up in the morning before going to his day job, knowing the value that his time is now. He's not getting online and in the morning to spread siege and this other garbage out there, to spread all these old ideas and symbols. What is worth his time? What is worth your time? Something that works. He gets up early, does this before going to work, and then still, from a blue-collar working job like the rest of us, underlines the effectiveness of this with $2,000. By the way, he writes, I love your epic streams. They are the only live streams I can come to 2 hours late and still catch 6 hours. He writes, sorry, I couldn't resist. I do love them and generally listen as I work around the house and yard. God bless you. God bless you for this service. You are definitely, like many of the folks here, everyone's serving in their own ways. Everyone's serving in their own ways, the ways they can. That's the mailbag, ladies and gentlemen. And let me show a few more really quick. God bless that gentleman. We're 3.5 hours, a half an hour before we take an intermission. Take a look at this. Dear Danny, found this among other signs out in her community. Imagine that. Danny, who came away from a lot of ugly things that she was doing that were not healthy for her. But she started going free, and she's in the community, a wonderful woman. Every now and again, she posts a leaflet here or there, does that sort of thing where it's legal to do so. God bless her for her efforts and staying aware of what's legal and what's not. And occasionally while she's out there spreading the good word of going free, she finds other leaflets and signs up here and there, and this is one of them. God bless that dear lady. We also have over here another gentleman. I don't know if I can say, if he's here, he can tag me right now and say if I can say whatever name that he feels is okay. I will just say that the first letter in his name, in either his first or last name, is S. And in his community, he finds stickers everywhere. Everywhere. Somebody obviously likes White Wellbeing. Somebody obviously is going free in his city. And as he walks around town, he grabs pictures of these to the tune of dozens and dozens and scores of them he finds. And we are grateful. And occasionally he will also post a flyer here or there where it is legal and permissible to do so. And we thank him for that. And we thank him for sharing the stickers and leaflets when he finds them having been posted by others, where, who knows, maybe it is a place that everybody's allowed to put a sticker or a leaflet. And we thank him for sharing that with us as well. We have folks like this, making memes like this that we can share. We have GA Patriot 1 and No White Guilt. This lovely meme was sharing, and I believe these are from Instagram. If you are sharing similar, then please try to bring it to my attention. If I miss something you do, trust me, it's not because I don't love you. It's not because I don't want to share what you've done. It's not because, unless it's something I don't want to share that you've done. But in almost all cases, it's just because somehow your particular item slipped through. There are only so many things that can make it. And one of these days, we are going to have, and we're still working on behind the scenes, an organizational entity, and we will have much more that will be brought forward to everyone and we'll be able to use. So these are from Instagram, and we give credit to the photographers and to the meme makers. And of course, I showed this a little bit earlier, and this was made actually quite a little while back. And it is a great example of something that I thought was a great laugh, and I wanted to share. And then it was in a file. It was one of those files, we all make. This is important. And then let me put it in some important place. And then suddenly the important place is covered up by other important places, and you know how it goes. So I came across this, and I wanted to share this with all of you. Someone took the time. If you're here, if you're him or her, make sure everyone knows if you want to take credit in the live stream or in the thread below when we are in replay. Thank you so much for that. And then we had, and this, you'll have to mention your name again who did this. Take a look at this. I've never seen this done before. Was this Prometheus? What was your name? If you're with us right now or in the replay, please let us know who you are, because I want to give you credit. Let's give a round of applause to all of these people who are out there making it happen with finding leaflets, finding stickers, finding rocks that say love your people, nowhiteguilt.org, and everything that you might imagine. No white guilt, and say no to anti-whiteism, and don't be anti-white, and all of these things. Someone, this individual, Promethean Promulgation or whoever it was, actually found these notes placed in a spider's web. It looks like they are hovering in midair. How delicately must this person have placed these notes in this spider's web? Perhaps the spider himself has decided to go free and help out Western kind, knowing what kind of world the anti-whites will make of the West. What a marvelous thing. This is the first time. I have been doing this for decades. This is the very first time I have ever seen this done. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful to whoever this was, and a big salute to the individual who found those. And of course, last week we shared these from another hero, and take credit in the live chat if you would like. Thank you all so much for the work that you all are doing in service to white well-being. I'm going to take a look at what you all have written. We have about 20 more minutes or so, not quite. And before we have the intermission, we're going to see if this works. We will stop the stream. We will immediately restart. It should be an identical thumbnail that should pop up on both channels, and it will just be, it'll say live now. The other one will be in a state of processing, and if I can remember, I will try to stop the other before discipline channel before we stop the overall, and hopefully we can remember to do that as we get to that, for some reasons that we're not exactly going to say. But we have news to cover. We have these bills to cover that are very important to talk about. We need folks to know what the anti-whites on the Democrat side of the aisle are going to implement if given the opportunity to implement those things. Because we need to vote T-Rex for what he won't do for us. We need won't do to us. We need to vote for Trumpet for what he will not do to us. All right, let me see really quickly. Let's jump over here to Entropy, and we have June financially gifting $15. Thank you so much, June. And writing, hello, Jason. I am a 73-year-old woman, and young woman, and I'm happy to have some tools to help me go free. I'm saying hello and thanking you for your work for white well-being. I have read Go Free, and now I'm reading Prometheus Rising. Thank you for this great literature in service of Western kind. God bless you, dear lady. That just puts the biggest smile on my face, and I have to tell you for numerous reasons. First of all, that you have a tool to help yourself, that you at 73 years young are still growing, are still learning, still have that youthful energy and spirit, and willing to take those steps to grow and to heal and to become a better and stronger person. How miraculous is that? God bless you, June. You also are going to be doing the Lord's work in total truthfulness, because by empowering yourself, you are going to be able to empower those around you. You are going to be able to serve in a way that so many others are not going to be able to serve. But this, I have to get out before I burst. How many of these, I'll go ahead and say it, since it's something that we normally mock as said by those who are older, and I think it is so apropos right now. These whippersnappers who say, oh, these older people, they just don't get the tech. They just don't get the tech. And they're 17, or they're 22, or they're 24, or they're 28, or whatever they are. And they want to mock older generations, and they want to talk about how much damage they've done for us, while they themselves have not been able to close the border. They want to talk about the 65 Immigration Act and what these other generations didn't do, but they're not able to close the border. They're not able to stop the anti-white Republicans and Democrats from doing all the things that they want to do now, but they have plenty of criticism. And especially, June, I got to tell you, for those content producers out there who preen themselves like great birds of paradise and think they are so special, and they mock older people, and you at 73 years young have demonstrated a complete awareness of the situation, the ability to read and go right through, go free, understand the power of those tools, get not only on YouTube and operate that platform with ease, but also then over to Entropy and operate this platform with ease in service to white well-being. You have just made those preening pricks look like imbeciles. And I am going to smile for weeks because of you doing this. God bless you in so many ways. That is so magnificent. And working through Prometheus Rising. And ladies and gentlemen, this is not easy reading. This is, of course, a mythopoetic. It has a lyricism to it, and it's not going to be for the simplest minds out there. Everybody will be able to get something out of it, but the vocabulary is such that you really have to stick with it. You really have to be lucid to work through this. This 73-year young woman is able to do it, but a lot of these 17, 18, 19, 23-year-old guys that criticize older people are unable to do it, as they slovenly sit on fat asses and they don't pick up something that is actually valuable for them, as they rapidly click through anime pornography. Give up that stupidity and get on a path of healing, get on a path of redemption, and realize that there are good people and bad people at every age and both sexes, and we're going to bring all of the best here. This is advanced placement, and that gentleman earlier was saying he's happy to be in the advanced placement. He might not be at the very top. We are in the advanced placement, and he is, and June is, and we're going to keep making it happen. So is DF, a wonderful woman who has financially gifted $5 and calling it a Promethean tithe. I love that. I love that. That is better than folk tithe, a Promethean tithe. I don't know if DF is the first one to say that. Let's remember that DF is the first one to say that. A Promethean tithe, $5. Hats off to you, dear lady. A beautiful gesture. And we also have here Heathen Reckoning with, I like that name, financially gifting $25 and saying here, thank you for organizing so many of our people's thoughts into a tool to further our excellence. That is a beautiful thing to say. Quick check on the time. Yes, okay, I see. We still have about 17 minutes before intermission. I'm going to read that again. Thank you for organizing so many of our people's thoughts into a tool to further our excellence. God bless you. And that is what I did with Going Free over the years. A great example here is much of this is indeed, it's no brag, just fact. These are my own ruminations. This is the scientific process applied to my ruminations, always putting the objective and the service to white well-being ahead of my ego, ahead of, essentially, this is the reality of it. Let me just come back to that really quickly and then say, in the creation of it, adopting the tools, culling the tools from other people's creations that I thought, okay, this looks good, this looks like it could work, and then applying it to the scientific method. If it worked, it stayed. That is how we've come to Go Free. That is why we're having success. Now let me tell you something that is important for your personal, for every aspect of your life. And this is where my heart, where my being, where my essence truly is. And that is this. I dedicated my life to the service of white well-being at 11 years of age. I knew that I would never be intelligent enough. I would never be educated enough. I would never have enough money. I would never have enough human capital, the connections. I would never have enough talent. I would never have enough reach to do this on my own. But I knew that I could contribute to freeing Western kind of anti-whiteism. I could be a player in that process. Whatever size that ended up being, I could be a player in that process. And once the spirit of the West was released in Western kind, there would be nothing. Taking back our history would be a breeze. There would be nothing that we cannot do. And so that has been my mission from that day. And what that ended up doing for me, and this is a proof of other aspects of life that you all can use in your lives. What that ended up doing for me was that sublimated my ego to that objective. If you find a potential life partner and their ego, their self-worth their purpose is sublimated into having a joyous relationship with you, they serve that joy by serving themselves. Does that make sense? I am serving me when I fight for white well-being. That is where value lies. That's where you can count on the dedication, even in those moments when you can't look down on every second of that person's life. That's when you know that they'll do the right thing in all cases. There isn't a weighing of my personal aggrandizement or my personal wealth with the objective of white well-being. Because the objective of white well-being is my personal wealth, is my personal aggrandizement. It is my value. That is how you know that you have someone you can count on. You can all reach that place. We can all be in that place. When you're looking for a mate, when you're looking for a business partner, if they have big conflicts that they have to weigh in their lives, that something else is more valuable to them than the win-win in that relationship, you're going to have problems with that person. This is something deep that you have to look into for each person, and you have to discern with pellucid vision. So thank you very much for those financial gifts. And we have, I think we got all of these here. Yep, we did have Angharad Celtics with the most beautiful ladies in their dresses. Earlier that she was referring to Marilyn Monroe, and what was the other lady's name that she mentioned? I think it was Marilyn Monroe, and it'll come back to me. I think it started with a W. But thank you so much. And looks like all of the financial gifts are here and on time. Okay, we still have 11 minutes. I'm going to take a look over here on Cash App and see if we missed anybody over there. No, we're blank over there, so we're good. I didn't miss anybody. I see the great Elaine Sabatino is here. Althea is here. First Lady of the American Theater is here. Streaky Bacon. Jerry Fox is here. And Donning Armor is here. Great to see you. Lee Van Cleef is here. Great to see you. Hungarian Spectator, the wonderful Misty is here as well. I think The River I saw. Who else? Something Docs was here. Sean, I think it was here. I'm just moving through this. Slots is here. Pierce Taylor is here. Dax is here. Who else? I'm seeing some avatars I'm not familiar with. And where's a speed reader when you need them? Of course, the great Brant Danger and Roy Danton moderating and thereby modifying the live chat tonight. The lovely Southern Bloom is here. Great to see you, dear lady. Is that Revere? The Revere is here. Let's see. We see some Althea. Jane Russell started with Marilyn Monroe. Okay. A wonderful scene of them descending the stairs. Roy says, are you doing any Skype calls? I am. And if you are going to need to go to sleep soon, we will take your call earlier. I made the offer. Regrettably, no one notified me, and I kept an eye out unless I missed it. That Yiz, it appears that maybe she had gone on to sleep. I hope that she's not getting sick. She's a very hard working lady, and she goes to work all day. Then she comes home and she's doing these streams. And if anybody is on regular DM with her, reach out to her. Let's make sure she's not feeling sick at all, and that it's just being a little overworked and has to get up early tomorrow. We don't want her out on the roads and potentially getting dizzy while she's behind the wheel. Fox says, I got name checked by No White Guilt. Yes, you did. Wild Fang says, Jason, you aren't a true Southerner until you own a pickup truck. How do you know I haven't owned a pickup truck before? So or you're just saying in general, Southerners should own pickup trucks. Yes, in fact, there was a little girl in this community, and she recently moved, little lady, and she has a great jacked up pickup truck, and good looking too. So good looking lady and a great jacked up pickup truck is. I was going to say earlier too. I like heels on a lady. Sometimes just the heels, but I also like a lady out there who can get dirty and get out in the woods and carry probably some of you thought dirty in more than one way there. I guess it's okay to double entendre that. But also, I guess you could also take it in the double entendre way for the woods too. But things like camping, fishing, all of that. And Western Crusader is here. So is White Student Transmission. Great to see you as well. And all right. Fornull is here. A great hero, ladies and gentlemen, doing magnificent work for White Wellbeing ever since. Actually, Invoke Fire is here. So much great music out of Fornull. We have to play more of this album. And by his album, remember, there is no shaming here for the financial reward for the efforts that you give in service to White Wellbeing. And so I don't know how much Fornull. What is your what are you giving away? I know it's a giveaway, your album for. So what exactly are and where can folks? I guess just to write it out so the anti-whites. We don't want people to. Okay, he says it can buy on Amazon and iTunes now. All right, do it. You don't have to like every one of his songs. You don't have to like any of his songs. It's going to be like a buck or a couple bucks or $5 or whatever it is. And do without the the soft drink tomorrow at work or whatever it might be. And this guy put a lot of effort into this, and let's let him know that it was worthwhile for him, and we thank you dearly for that, Fornull. People are doing this stuff out of the goodness of their heart and out of the goodness of our hearts. We should thank them, and thanking them sometimes means if we live in a tent and we don't have pot to piss in, then it's writing them and giving a really sincere thank you. And when it can be all of these people, Imminent Rain are doing this, Hireth, Jeff Winston, all of these great people, let's let them know, hey, they got something out and they're producing. Remember, this is the clothes that we put on the psychological defense for the psychological well-being. The more that they feel the embrace of the work that we're doing here, the more of the lexicon they're going to use, the more of the dialectics they're going to use in their art. This is musicians, this is poets. We also have like Nullus. I don't know if Nullus has a way. And the other guy's name is slipping me right now. It'll come back. We put it all the time in the garage parties. I almost just had it again. Write it in the chat, somebody. And if they have a way to take a buck or two or 10, then give them a buck or two or 10 and let them know that I'm going free and I support you for the work that you're doing. And then we'll see more work that evinces the desire in others to go free themselves. I'd love to see paintings. I'd love to see sculpture. I'd love to see, and we did see some glass sculpture, didn't we? And I've shown some of that from a hero in the community. We can't say his name; he'll lose his job. But we did see some of that. I'd love to see more sculpture, stone, marble, whatever you work in. Why can't we have that? We should have that. I know there've got to be people out there who could carve, a piece of marble this tall. We could put it here. They could keep it in their yard. They could get a photograph. We could show it, whatever it is. And it could be Prometheus Ethelia from Prometheus Rising. It could be any of these things. You could make out of glass the Eindolin. You could do show it and make it. We will show it, and we will bring more people to this community by doing so, because others on the outside will say, what's going on there? Why are they having such a good time? Why is there so much art being created? And we want these people to be thanked. We don't need to go the route of what they had in the past in the white positive sphere is no gratitude, no thanks, just a what have you done for me lately attitude. That's Bravo Sierra, and we're not going to see any of it. Support shaming is a thing of the past. And when anybody support shames, the answer to that's an MC. When anybody support shames you, if it's a tweet or a gab, retweet it, regab it, say, everybody look at this person that is support shaming me. I accepted a few dollars for, I accepted a few more dollars for a work of art that I did or the efforts that I'm making. And this person doesn't want us to have any sort of compensation for these things. Isn't that just like an anti-white bastard? I wonder how effective the anti-white organizations would be if none of their communities gave them any money. If none of their communities showed them any support, by financial support, I wonder where these organizations would be. So doesn't it sound just like an anti-white to say, whatever you do, these people are not real and they should not be allowed into our community if they accept a single dollar. They should remain impecunious and living in cardboard boxes and having as much social and power and capital power as a cockroach. They need to remain in that state or they're not the real deal. They shouldn't be given any street cred and we shouldn't follow them anymore. Anybody saying that is an anti-white cur, and we should reject them. We should block them on Twitter and Gab. We should kick them out of the white positive sphere. First, give them an opportunity to go free. Let them know it's support shaming. Let them know what I just said here. Let them know there's a way to be redeemed and that they can come to us and how wrong and erroneous that position is. Maybe they're making that position or that argument out of jealousy because they have maybe done a thing or two or they can't think of something that they could do that would warrant a single penny from the population of the white positive sphere. I don't know. But whatever it is, give them the opportunity to go free because we all have gone wrong. We all have taken wrong steps. We all say things in desperation. I saw that just this past week, people saying things in desperation, ideas that are not quite sane, saying things in desperation because they're at their wits' end, and give the person a little bit of leash and then say, look, this is the direction that we need to be going because this is the direction that is effective. So if you are on the Discipline channel, we are down to 1 minute. I'm going to shut everybody down on the Discipline channel right now. Now we are going to come back on all of these channels, as I said. And so this will be a brief intermission. And I don't know, it might be 60 seconds, it might be 120 seconds, but we will be back on all of these channels. And do not go away. Come back with us and we will see you all in as quickly as possible. We'll see what this experience